You damn right. Hope everybody is having a great Wednesday. If you are an English major or a literary freak, beware today. It is the Ides of March. It's also tournament week. How's your bracket doing? Are you building up a good one? Do you have the perfect bracket ready to go, ready to win? We got a TV you can win. Go to hornfm.com to get in on our bracket contest. Got to get it done by 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's Chad and Zay on this Wednesday. We got a lot coming up. We'll try to tell you who the heck Tucker Richardson is, why Keegan Records is a name you need to know. We got a national guest coming on at 12:30 to talk hoops. Zay's going to be breaking down Colgate here in a couple minutes. I'm Chad Hastings, and he is the one and only Isaiah Collier. He's ready for a tournament. What's up, Zay?
One more day, baby. One more day. And the Horns will be wasting this toothpaste. Hopefully. Because we know it's the tournament, and anything can happen.
It can. 15s can beat 2s. 14s can beat 3s. Heck, Virginia fans will tell you, even a 16 can beat a 1.
Yeah, man.
One time. You just never know. Never know. Gotta have everything dialed in. You got to get those 4-minute segments figured out. When do you call timeouts? When do you foul? And what do you do if Colgate just starts hitting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3? Do you go with the Jim Boeheim plan, which is, I don't know.
Stay in zone.
They're bound to miss. Right? How many have they hit in a row? Like 6. I know, but they probably won't hit 7. All right, well, so far the math says they might.
Yeah, what'd you tell us on the Scouting Report, Coach? They're the best three-point shooting team in the league? Okay, cool. 2-3 zone.
Sure.
It'll work.
Yeah, now if...
I'm in the Hall of Fame. It's been working for 47 years. It'll work tonight.
I'm just going to say, if Rodney Terry and the Texas coaching staff go with the Boeheim plan and Colgate does exactly what they did in the Carrier Dome, I don't think Rodney Terry gets the Texas job.
No.
Just going to say it. I'm on that limb right now.
Yeah. It's Coach Terry's job to lose if he goes 2-3 zone.
Somehow I don't think that's what they're going to do. We're going to get into the possible plan for Texas and Colgate. Remember, 6:25 tomorrow on that tip time. Our extended pregame right here on the Horn at 5:30. And the fellas are going to be out there at the Round Rock location of Twin Peaks. Get your excuses together, make them good, figure out a way to make it, a work event. It's a work thing. You have a work meeting. Just make it at Twin Peaks Round Rock. Come out, watch the games with our crew. I'm going to be headed out there as maybe the only person that is rooting for Texas and Texas A&M to play in that second round. I'm going to get out there to check out the Texas game, and I'm going to be checking out the Aggie game as well. I'll be the guy in the Lone Star Showdown t-shirt ready to roll because I can't wait for these two teams to play again. It's my favorite thing on the planet, so I'll try to contain my excitement, but if you want to come out and watch with us, Round Rock, Twin Peaks tomorrow.
Yeah, just keeping it a buck with you, Chad, and the rest of you people. I want Penn State to blow y'all out by 40.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, most Longhorn fans, I'm assuming, want that. No Longhorn fan wants the Aggies to beat Penn State. What you want is a blowout of Colgate. Nice, easy, comfortable.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Wear them out, and then you want to see Penn State dominate the Aggies the same way.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
I want to stick it to the committee for hosing us.
Yeah.
They hosed y'all, but whatever. But hosing us.
Yeah, you ended up right. It's both ways. And that's the way I would feel if I was a Texas fan, because A&M has been playing better than a 7 seed, so that would suck for Texas if they get the matchup. And then, for A&M, the idea that they'd have to deal with a 2 seed that fast is crazy.
Pretty
it's
nuts.
And the fact that they have to be in a 7-10 matchup right away. Versus if you're a 6, you get an 11. If you're a 5, you get a 12. We all know how the math works. But for them to have to deal with a 10 that just played for the conference championship and pushed Purdue right to the edge.
Had them on the ropes.
That's the team. That's the reward A&M gets for the way they're playing. So we'll get to all of that for tomorrow. A lot of basketball out there. Before we get there, though, I think there are a couple of NFL notes we need to hit, Zay. There's some Cowboy news to report. I was upset yesterday when the Cowboys were not involved in the Darren Waller discussion, but the Cowboys are doing one thing Mike McCarthy talked about. If he says, I want to run the ball and I want to lean on my defense, these signings they're getting on the defensive side are speaking to that. Donovan Wilson will be back. We told you that. Now we find out that Leighton Vander Esch will be back. 2 years, $11 million.
Perfect deal.
He's back.
Perfect deal.
Yep. And then this one is interesting, Zay. I want you to tell me how excited should I be as a Cowboys fan. Stephon Gilmore is going to be a Cowboy. They get him from Indy. You'll remember him, obviously, from New England most of all. Cowboys give up a 5th rounder. You may have heard they just got some compensatory picks or sandwich picks, whatever they call those things. They gave him one of those, a 5th rounder. They get Stephon Gilmore back. Stephon is 32 years old, Zay. Should I be excited?
Yeah, you should be excited.
Because I'm kind of pumped about it.
Yeah, because y'all are looking at 2-3 year window with this high-level defense, Dan Quinn. Hopefully Dak Prescott could get back to playing some good football, and we know what happened with Ezekiel Elliott. It seems like they're about to let him go, which is the right move. It's been a good 7 years for Zeke, but
that could happen today, by the way.
Yeah, it could happen today, and everybody knows Ezekiel Elliott is washed like orgy sheets. It's just, that's what it is.
What? I mean,
what?
How long have you been holding on to that one? Did you wake up today with a smile on your face and an Ezekiel Elliott orgy joke? Is that what you decided to do? You trying to...
Yo, let it flow.
Oh, my God.
I didn't think you catch it. I thought you just let it flow. I mean, you know, he's washed.
You just tried to slip that in there like a gift card on a date.
He's washed. What you want me to say? He's done.
Did you just put a $50 gift card down for our date? Yeah, I'm trying to save a little money. Leave it alone.
But, hey, Zeke, great job. Love what you did these last 7 years. You got way too much money. So
he did get a lot of money.
Yeah, so you're good with that. I have no remorse towards that with you.
I
hope the dogs are eating great. They got trained.
Yeah, I bet he smiles when he sees Jerry Jones' signature. Just bright smile.
That's what I'm saying. I would too. Money. But back to Stephon Gilmore, I think this is a huge pickup. I mean, 5-time Pro Bowler. He's definitely lost a step. He's not that New England Patriots Defensive Player of the Year guy, but this is a borderline Hall of Famer. And I think even if he lost a step, he overcomes that with just him being in the locker room and him being that veteran presence. Because a lot of guys, people don't think about Stephon Gilmore because he's not that rah-rah, I'm in your face type of corner. He's not like a Jalen Ramsey that every time he bats down the ball, gets an interception, he's going to talk about it. He goes really quiet about his business. He did that in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. He obviously did that in New England with Belichick and them. Like, he fit in perfectly, and they got rid of him when they knew that he lost a step and just the money that he was worth. They weren't willing to pay that. But one of my favorite clips I saw this past year is when the Colts came to Dallas and played them, and they got beat. And then after the game, Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons were fighting over a jersey swap with Stephon Gilmore. So these guys look up to him, and he wasn't even on the team yet. Like, they were arguing, like, no, I'm getting the jersey. No, I'm getting the jersey. Like,
that's the day he picked off Dak in the game, right?
I think so.
Didn't he have an interception in that game?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, him coming to the squad along with, Jaron Kearse, and then Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. You just re-signed Wilson yesterday. Like, they're, like you said, they're getting to that point. This defense is better on paper than they were last year. And if they could bring that same mentality that they brought in last year, and Stephon Gilmore, he's been hurt sometimes. If he could stay healthy, great pickup.
Somebody texted us, it's going to make him throw towards Trayvon, and in some situations that is the case, and Diggs is going to have to show that he won't be burned as much, because there are times when he has been burned over the last couple years. So he's going to hopefully get better if you're a Cowboys fan. Somebody says the Gilmore signing was brilliant. Sincerely, 2015. See, that's the thing. That's why I asked you, because he's 32. 32 years old in the NFL. I don't care if you are. And look, when you're one of these quarterbacks now and you're a stud, I guess 32 doesn't sound the same as it used to, but that would be a little bit of the concern. He is on the backside of the career. I still think there's enough left there. I do. I think there's enough Stephon Gilmore left there. Also, wow, is this a real thing? Somebody is sending us pictures. Is there somebody threatening to jump at Ben White in 360?
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. says Ben White underneath is closed, where 71 becomes 360 in front of Target. Highway closed, Ben White underneath is closed. Maybe you should report it for traffic reasons. Wow. I will. I'll let everybody know right now. Thank you very much to the texter 7171. Ben White and 360. Please be careful in that area. That's crazy. Hopefully that ends. Hopefully that ends well. And ends the way it needs to. So there's some good text rolling in. If you want to let us know what you think of that, Cowboys fans, Specs text line 337-3776. Official business begins in the NFL today. Still no official Aaron Rodgers news, but the Jets have agreed to a deal with Allen Lazard.
$40 million, baby.
It's just a coincidence. It's not like that tells you anything. I mean, it's 4 years, 44. By the way, Allen Lazard, great job for him.
What a grip.
$44 million deal. The story of him ingratiating himself with Aaron Rodgers is one we probably don't tell enough, but that's a guy that Aaron Rodgers went to the Packers and said, hey, play him. Why not him? What about that guy?
Yeah.
Allen Lazard played at Iowa State, busted his ass there, and was just consistent, and he's been consistent enough that Aaron Rodgers put his name on a list to the Jets.
Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And for Allen Lazard, he banking in on knowing some Aaron Rodgers. And, hey, with the taxes up in New York, I get it. Get everything you can.
Yeah.
You got to have it. Get everything you can because Uncle Sam, he going to come knocking.
No doubt.
And now it just seems like it has to happen. Like, if he doesn't go over there, Aaron Rodgers now, then the Jets going to be like, what the hell? And now where do you go?
I just love that just to test him out, he put Mercedes Lewis on the list.
Good grief.
I love that. Mercedes is 38 years old, by the way. Why didn't he just write Chimura? Like, why didn't he just go there? Why didn't he just go? Is one of their tight ends from the Super Bowl with Favre other than Chimura? Is he still available? Like, throw anybody on that list. Donald Driver? Did you try Driver? Maybe Sterling Sharp?
Damn.
Is he still available?
Sterling Sharp?
Is Sterling still available?
Oh, man.
My God.
Reggie Freeman?
A little Reggie Freeman? Yeah, there you go. Get it done. Get it taken care of. All right, so we'll keep our eyes on those stories. We're also talking a lot of tournament, your bracket. Hopefully we'll get you some help coming up here at 12:30. We'll talk to the coach again, Scott Spinelli, former BC interim coach. Spent a little time at A&M as an assistant, been all over the place, and he does a podcast now, hosted the Breakdown on the Believe Network. We talked to him last week. Now we've got the bracket in front of us, so we'll get his thoughts on that. But right now we wanted to get you a little preview of Colgate. You got to keep everybody in mind here. Obviously, you got to respect every team you play in the tournament. I know it's a 2-15, but, Zay, we know anything can happen. And, again, if you let this Colgate team do what Jim Boeheim let them do, and they shoot well, they may be able, they can run just about anybody out of the building. We should mention, you were talking about their small gym and the fact that they have a small gym. They're mainly going to play in there, but the Carrier Dome's a big place.
Yeah.
And they went in there and lit it up. I watched a condensed version of that game today. They got every bounce, every shot. They were shooting practically from half court, hitting all the Larry Bird, Michael Jordan stuff from that McDonald's commercial. It was crazy. They shot 40. They shot better from 3 than they did from 2 against Syracuse.
Yeah. They shot the lights out. And thank you on the Specs text line for correcting me. Antonio Freeman, not Reggie Freeman. Reggie Freeman, the basketball player.
Yes, anyway, that's right. You're in a basketball mood.
I was in basketball mode.
Okay.
I'm locked in.
Antonio
Freeman. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah.
But, yeah, Colgate, they're an interesting team because you see the 50% shooting from the field. You see the 40% shooting from the three-point line, and they have 10 guys that are in double figures. But we talked about it earlier, Chad. Patriot League, they win 17 games. The next best team only wins 11.
Right.
So they were...
Now, just 5 guys in double figures, right?
5 guys.
Okay, not 10.
I said 10.
You said 10 guys in double figures.
I'm out of here. 5 guys double figures, excuse me.
If we had... Now, that'd be a story.
Yeah, they'd beat Texas by 20 if they had 10 guys in double figures. But, yeah, 5 guys double figures. Yeah. And it all starts with Tucker Richardson, their do-everything guy. He's averaging 2 steals. He was Defensive Player of the Year in Patriot League. He was the MVP in the Patriot League. He has multiple records. And he's 6'5", but, again, I don't think he could jump over the yellow pages. Not many of them. They probably have the least amount of dunks in the nation or in the tournament. because they're not an athletic squad. They have a big man that could do a little bit, but he's not athletic either. And Keegan Records, the lumberjack, he's solid, but
he is a hairy man.
Very hairy.
Yeah.
He's able to work due to how good they are at shooting the three. So basically they have 4 guards. They start Richardson, Braden Smith, the freshman, Ryan Moffitt, who could shoot, 6'7" senior, and then Oliver Lynch-Daniels, who could really shoot it. Moffitt and Lynch-Daniels, they could light it up. They're going to be on the perimeter a majority of the time, while Smith and Richardson do a lot of the penetration, creating for the rest of the team. So, again, they just never seen athletes and a type of ball club that the Horns are going to throw at them. And that's going to overwhelm them. They might hit a couple of shots early, but if you're Coach Terry and this coaching staff, if you're smart, you'll allow Keegan Richardson to catch the ball in the post and to go to work. He dominated the Patriot League, just dominated it. And him being 6'10", being a really good mid-major big man, and plus all those shooters, like I say, on the outside, he had one-on-one matchups the whole time. And when somebody would double, that would leave the shooters outside to hit the shots and go 50% like Oliver Lynch-Daniels. Like shooting 50% from 3, I don't care if you're mid-major, Power 6, European, elementary league. You're lighting it up. Mm-hmm. So, yes, they have that small-ass gym like we talked about, like you just mentioned, and we talked about yesterday, which helps. They played at their gym in the Patriot League tournament, conference tournament. So that's 3 games on your home court. So you have the home court advantage there. So now coming into a big setting in Des Moines, it's going to be a bit of a, shocker once they walk in, and all the flashing lights and all the attention that you get in the tournament. And what Texas has going on their side, a lot of people are picking this as an upset for the 2-15 matchup, because people know that 2-15 has to go down. A lot of people are saying this is the one because they see the stats. They see that 40% shooting, they can flat out shoot it. But the only good teams they played this year were Auburn, who they lost to by 30, and then Syracuse, who they beat by 12. And Syracuse played that whack-ass dated 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
Texas ain't going to play zone at all. So you're going to run those guys off the line and make them create. Oliver Lynch-Daniels, you're going to have to show me something. You're going to have to go in your bag, bruh, and show me if you got some type of ball handling ability, because we're going to let you create for anybody. Ryan Moffitt, same with you. We're going to let you do all of that. They're going to put everything in Tucker Richardson's hands because he's their guy, and they need him to play well to win. And he had a triple-double in their conference championship game, so he's a do-it-all guy. But they can't hang with Texas. If Texas plays the way they should, they can't hang. And if you're going to start Timmy Allen, you need to go to Timmy Allen early to get his confidence up, because I don't know who he's going to have on him. They're going to try to hide Lynch-Daniels. They're going to try to hide him because he's only 6'2". Like, if he guards Tyrese Hunter, that's lunch meat. If he guards Marcus Carr, oh, man, that's lunch meat with hot sauce. And if he guards Sir-Jabari Rice, we'll take all of that and then some. So they're going to have to hide him some way. And usually when teams hide a player, they'll put him on a Dylan Mitchell. And Dylan Mitchell, this is the type of game where you try to dunk on somebody, because they can't even be in the same ballpark as you when it comes to athleticism. And Dylan Dessou, the great moves that he's been doing, those push shots, those floaters, go back to that 2-man game that we saw against Kansas in late second half with Marcus Carr and him. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, is this the kind of game, based on Colgate and their athleticism, is this a game where maybe the Texas bigs on the move like we saw in the last game could be big?
Right.
Get them in those situations to let them show off their athleticism.
Right. You want that 2-man game because you want Records out on the perimeter. He hasn't had to deal with pick and roll action with this type of talent. Yeah. So if you bring his ass out and make him dance a little bit, he don't want to do that. He wants to protect the rim. He's a good shot blocker for that league.
And there should be a lot of available rebounds if you pull that off.
Absolutely.
You get him out there. If you do happen to miss, there should be rebounds to get.
Yeah, because Moffitt, he's basically their 4-man, but he's 6'7".
Yeah.
And again, they ain't athletic. at all. I'm being nice.
You are.
I'm
You're
really
very
being nice.
We appreciate the niceness. Got to respect the opponent. They are the Colgate Raiders, by the way, if you don't know. They're in the Patriot League with teams like Holy Cross, Lehigh, Bucknell, that group. That's the conference they play in. They've won 20 of their last 21 games. The only loss in the run was a 1-point loss at American. They are 17-1 in the conference, as we pointed out, but second place is 11-7. So it tells you where that conference is in terms of what Colgate is. By the way, weird stat in that Auburn game. They went to Auburn, like you said, they got whipped 93-66, but they shot 44% from the floor and from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
They didn't shoot the ball bad. They just let Auburn go off a little bit, kind of speaking to what you're talking about, what Texas may be able to do. Auburn shot 55% from the floor in that game.
Auburn's not that good. They have nothing but athletes.
Yeah.
So they just used their athleticism to overwhelm them, got out and ran, got
easy
steals,
buckets,
easy buckets, and that's what should happen. If it doesn't, we should be concerned for sure.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get ready for Texas and Colgate. Coming up, more bracket thoughts. Scott Spinelli, host of the Breakdown on the Believe Network, former BC interim coach. He'll give us his thoughts on the bracket, including the path in front of Texas. Stay with us. It's the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. Hope you're having a good night's sleep. Hope you're getting great rest. But if you're not, sinus and snoring specialist, that's your place. If the allergies are getting after you, sinus infections, sinus headaches, or if it is sleep apnea, if it's bad snoring and you're keeping yourself up, you're keeping others up, you don't want to let that continue to get worse if you're into your 50s and 60s and beyond, because it's just going to continue to get worse and it could lead to some more serious issues. Get on in there, meet Dr. Slaughter and the crew at Sinus and Snoring Specialists, and let them show you what they do there. Over 20 years of experience with the very latest in ear, nose, and throat technology. I went in 2017, and they figured out all kinds of stuff that was happening with me. Actually, it wasn't like it was the biggest list. The biggest thing was my nasal passages were blocked up, 85% blocked. They were able to deal with that, get rid of my allergies for good, and now I don't worry about sprays or the pills I used to take, and after a certain period of time, I didn't even worry about those allergy drops, because over a 3-year period, you develop the defenses and you are good. They can get rid of your allergies for good. Live in the Austin area with all these crazy allergies around, and you're not going to have to worry about it. Call and set up an appointment today, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, that's a good one to get the day started with. Chad and Zay with you on a Wednesday. Led Zeppelin for the people. This is Dire Maker?
That's right.
Right? Weird titles for Zeppelin. Love them. All right, Zeppelin gets us started. Lots of bracket talk coming up. In fact, we're going to hopefully get you a little more national perspective here and maybe get you an idea or two on what to do with your bracket. We will obviously, we got Texas and Colgate tomorrow. 6:25 is that tip time. Extended pregame at 5:30 right here on the Horn. Couple of quick NFL notes. Aaron Rodgers apparently has gone on the McAfee show and said he intends to play for the Jets. So that is in the works. It's not official yet, but that is his intention. Also, I'm just seeing this hit. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to sign Baker Mayfield.
Let's go.
Apparently, that's where it's headed. 1-year deal. All right, so all that's going on. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe at Cantina hotline and get some basketball talk in here. He is Scott Spinelli, host of The Breakdown on the Believe Network, former BC interim coach. We had a great time talking with him last week, and he's nice enough to give us some time again. Coach, how are you?
Excellent, guys. Always a pleasure to be on the show with you.
Man, it is a fun time of year, obviously, and now we have that full bracket in front of us. Let me start with the Longhorn part of it. You know a lot of fans are excited around here for that 2 seed in the Midwest. What'd you think of Texas's placement and their path headed towards Houston?
Well, I obviously it's not an easy path, right? I mean, Colgate is a battle-tested NCAA team, so that's not going to be an easy game, especially with the way Colgate plays that matchup zone. The fact that Colgate has a lot of skilled guys who have come up through the program. Again, they're NCAA battle-tested. They've had really competitive games over the last few years in the tournament. They did lose, the kid Cummings, who actually plays for Pitt now. He left Colgate and is a fifth-year kid there now. But, again, that game will not be as easy for them as I think people might think. However, as you guys know, Texas and the job that Coach Terry and his staff are doing right now, you just can't help but tip your hat. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And then that second round, look, guys, I was at A&M. I hate to say it on the Austin show, but, I'm an Aggie. And I got to tell you, I think that game sets up perfectly for a Texas A&M, old school, Big 8, Big 12, horns down showdown.
Well, don't call it a horns down showdown. We don't want people breaking the door down here, Coach. Come on now.
No, that will be a heck of a game against two really good teams. Texas A&M, as you guys know, they got really, I think, the second round matchup if both teams take care of business in the first round and both teams have a challenge.
Yep.
Coach, last week you told us the team to watch for that people aren't really talking about is this Drake team, and they got the 12 seed, and we all know that 12-5 matchup. We know that 5 could be very vulnerable, and Miami, they got the matchup with Drake. Now, Drake coming in 16-2, last 18 games. They're really cooking, and they can shoot the ball well. Do you like them over Miami?
Last week, guys, I got to be honest. And, listen, man, this is all new to me doing a lot of these breakdowns in the media over the last 2 years. And I hate to say this, but I love Drake. I just cannot believe that that's who they have to play first round. Look, these ACC teams, in particular Miami and Duke, are two teams that I think could make a run at the whole thing. I love Duke. I absolutely love Duke and their side. I think Duke gets all the way to the Final Four. In my mind, and if you're asking me about Miami Drake, that's the one team right now that I'm looking at saying how good Drake is, how experienced they are. But, boy, I tell you what, they've got a really tough matchup in that. I can't believe Miami's a 5 seed finishing first in the ACC. That's not going to be any – that's one team that I really now have to kind of not retract it, but to tell you, I'm not as high on Drake beating Miami, guys. I'm really not.
Okay, likes Miami in that matchup. Talking with Scott Spinelli. The brackets are out. By the way, if you want to follow him on Twitter, at Coach_Spinelli. Coach, in term, you mentioned the A&M seeding issue. Obviously, that has been discussed around these parts where Texas and Texas A&M may face each other in the second round, even though maybe that's not how the seeding should have gone. What about the Kansas seeding? Did you agree with Houston getting that overall number 2, the second overall 1 seed, and then Kansas being sent ultimately out west? Did you agree with that?
You know, I'll tell you what, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen an NCAA tournament with so many storylines involving the 1 seeds. I mean, you think about it. First and foremost, you hope that Coach Self is okay and he's healthy. So right off the bat, you know, there's a little bit, obviously, of a concern there with their head coach and obviously a Hall of Famer at that. So you're worried about them. And then you have Houston, and we said this last time on the show, if they're healthy, they're as good as anybody. I think they're more complete than any team in the tournament. And yet here's Sasser now, you know, with this groin injury going down. Is he healthy? And then you go into the Alabama thing, and they've got all kinds of distractions. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them when they hit adversity in this tournament with some of these distractions they're facing with the tragedy there. And then obviously Purdue, who's had so much success in the regular season, can that, you know, style of play with those young guards handle the pressure even in that second round if they play Memphis, which Florida Atlantic I think could beat them anyways. But again, I think there's a lot of storylines. But yeah, to your point, I don't know if I can answer that question and say, do I agree or not agree? I just think there's so many storylines on these 1 seeds that anything could happen in this tournament.
Yeah, it's true.
Coach, let me ask you this from a coaching standpoint, because the preparation in the tournament, it's a little bit different than during the regular season, from playing, let's say, tomorrow on Thursday and winning that game and turning around playing on Saturday. What do coaches have to go through in preparing, from scouting to, you know, how much do you give the guys rest on that day off? Like, how do you go about it as a coach in preparing just to make it through the tournament?
Well, like we've talked about, your principles really have to take over now, right? So all of the teaching and the breakdown that you've done from from the summer and the individual workouts into the preseason and the fall, and obviously into the regular season, you know, your principles, your foundation, your fundamentals, your identity, those things now have to take precedence. Look, on a day off between games, I've been there, done that. You know, the one thing you're trying to do is figure out if you're going to make some tweaks and some changes. Again, you know, everything's about matchups in these games. You know, who matches up with who. Film work, walkthrough would probably be the best case scenario if you do win that first round game. Maybe you go to the arena, get some free throws up, get a light workout in, but a lot of it's going to be film work and walkthrough and preparation, you know, for the second round opponent.
Survive in advance. Get that the short prep between the 2 games, getting ready for hopefully a trip to the Sweet 16 for these teams. Coach, you mentioned your thoughts on Miami, that you kind of like that matchup with Drake. You mentioned Duke, a 5 seed in the East, and you said you like them going all the way to the Final Four. Is there anything else you want to throw out there for the people that are trying to figure out their brackets? Any other surprises you've got? Any other chalk you like? What else you got on your bracket?
Well, there's some great games. I mean, there's some great matchups here. I think, first of all, I'm going to call everyone's attention to the Arizona-Princeton game. That is not going to be an easy game for Arizona. And the reason I say that is because, you know, as good as Arizona is offensively, and they are really good, Princeton is going to play a style, again, a matchup problem for Arizona. If Princeton is holding that ball and cutting and moving offensively and making Arizona guard them, and they stop making shots late into the clock, that's the formula to deflate a superior team. Look, one of the things that happens in college basketball, guys, is this. With that decreased shot clock, where it's 35 seconds, years ago, you know, anybody could beat anybody, but you'd hope that with those, you know, the increased possessions in a 35-second game, you want to recruit talented kids, because usually talent will in increased possession type games, usually translates into winning. Well, in this game, as much as Arizona has got more talent, Princeton is going to be able to hold the ball or at least, make this game limited possessions to a certain degree. If they're making shots and they're scoring, that could be a huge problem for Arizona in this game. I think you got to watch that game. Virginia Furman, two contrasting styles. Virginia, tremendous defensively. They're going to send multiple guys back on every shot, so they're going to take away Furman's transition. Furman averages 82 points a game. They got a tremendous guard in Pegues. Slosson's a really good wing. Again, what's going to give in that game? Virginia's great defense with their identity, or is Furman going to make the three-point shot and be able to create some offense and get out in transition? That's going to be interesting. I do like Virginia, but that's going to be a great game. And my sleeper pick, besides Duke, I think you got to watch Creighton in this tournament. They've got 6 guys that have made 20 or more threes on their roster. They can play multiple ways with versatility, with skill. And when you have that kind of firepower with that many players who can shoot the ball, that really proposes a problem for the opposition. Keep an eye on Creighton, too.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I like Creighton. I like Creighton a lot. Coach, I know you definitely miss the competitive nature of the game, but I know you don't miss the stress of it. Let me ask you this. What's your favorite moment being on the sideline during the NCAA tournament throughout your career?
Well, I just think when you're on the sideline as a coach and, you're experiencing and taking it all in, you don't really – I don't think you appreciate it in the moment, but it's after those games that you look back, right? I mean, the years – we had the best 4-year win total in Texas A&M history. We went to the tournament every year. We advanced 3 out of the 4 years into the second round. And, you look back at some of the memories in the venues and playing in the Staples Center, I think it was, Toyota Center, whatever it was in L.A., when we lost a heartbreaker to UCLA there with Kevin Love and Wood, all the really good players that they had. I mean, those are the memories that you have, and you miss those. But again, there's nothing like the NCAA tournament where the kids, the students, the faculty, the administration, the kids' families, everybody's rallying around their team. What a great feeling, great event. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, sporting event in all of sports.
Coach, before we let you go, for the record, if Texas plays Texas A&M on Saturday for a trip to the Sweet 16, who are you picking to win it?
Well, I think you got to look at it from two different ways. You look at, Texas is, their offensive firepower that they have. They got experienced guards. They've got a lot of confidence right now. The one thing I would caution you on there in terms of Texas being superior to A&M in terms of talent maybe is Texas has problems with physical, hard-nosed, tough, rebounding teams, and I think Texas A&M is that team. I think they're physical, they're tough. I mean, Buzz has always had his teams play to that identity, and he's got them cooking right now. They also got motivation now, just like these ACC teams. A lot of teams in this tournament feel slighted in their seeding, and Texas A&M is certainly one of them. I look for that game to be a real tough game for Texas. I'm not sure that's a too close to call type game. Again, for me personally, I have to put my heart with the Aggies, but I'll tell you what, I am rooting for Coach Rodney Terry in Texas also, just for what they've had to go through. But that's going to be a heck of a game, guys, and I think it's going to be very good chance it happens.
Yep, it's going to be a wild game if we get there. Aggies got to handle Penn State, and the Longhorns, of course, have to handle Colgate to make the matchup happen. That is Scott Spinelli. Check out the Believe Network. He's host of The Breakdown there, former BC interim coach, of course, and he's at Coach_Spinelli on Twitter. Coach, we appreciate your time again. Enjoy the start of the tournament, and we hope your bracket looks good come Monday.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys. Okay, take care. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
Coach. You too.
Coach Scott Spinelli, there he is. Once a coach, always a coach, and you can hear the excitement in his voice there. Man, he's really leaning in on that Aggie history there.
Yeah, I don't like it. I was this close to hanging up on Coach, but I kept it professional, y'all. I kept it professional.
See, I could tell you that I set up that interview without knowing his history, but you're never going to believe me now. There's no way.
I really don't.
No way you'll believe it now.
No, Coach is great.
Good grief. That was good, though. That was some good stuff. How about some of those teams he mentioned? 5-seed Duke, he says, goes to the Final Four. He's taken Miami to beat Drake. Not sure how much further he'd have him go, but he says he really likes that team. And Creighton, a 6-seed. He says, watch out for Creighton in the South. I don't know if he's got him going to the Final Four, but he thinks they'll make some noise in the South.
That's a tough matchup because I think NC State has some dudes, but Creighton has one of the best starting lineups in the nation. Like we saw him when they came down here. Colton Renner, he's solid. Shireman could shoot at the lefty. Nimhard's good. Just their bench. Kuminga, their bench is trash. There's nobody on that bench.
You got to get him to go deep.
Yeah.
Get him into deep water.
Like if it was McDermott's decision, he'd play all 5 of those guys 40 minutes each.
I remember you talking about that when they went into the game, yeah.
Yeah, that's been their problem all year.
Yeah.
Just they get in those droughts where they look exhausted because they don't have any depth.
All right, thanks to Coach for his time. Coming up at 105, Justin Wells of Inside Texas, 205, Chip Brown of Horns247.com, our normal guest talking some Longhorn stuff, their perspective on the game coming up with Colgate, and we'll get some Longhorn football thoughts as spring practice continues. Up next, though, into crap bag, Chris Beard took the job in Oxford. I listened to a little bit of that speech. There's a couple funny moments I think Longhorn fans may enjoy. Plus, a team that the math says you do not want to go and put them in the Sweet 16, and it's a Big 12 team. I'll tell you who they are on the Horn. All right, this is Chad talking Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and you know what has arrived. March Madness is here, and college basketball pick'em is the fastest way to get into the action. I'm just rolling through it right now on my phone. You can go to each individual game. If you like something about a particular matchup, the Princeton-Arizona game that Coach Spinelli just mentioned, that 2:15, that game. You want to pick the ORU-Duke game. Here's Colgate and Texas. Let me pick a Texas player and let you know what we're talking about with these pick'em games. Marcus Carr, 5 assists, higher or lower. Timmy Allen, 12.5 points, higher or lower. And Jabari Rice, how about 1.5 assists, higher or lower? I went higher with that one on Rice and made it a part of a pick'em game. It's so easy. Pick whether your player is going to have a higher or lower stat total in the game of March Madness for your chance to win big. You could win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build the pick'em entry, and you can also make rivals picks, pitting 2 players against one another. Get it on your phone. You'll see how easy it is. Kind of cool to have it going on during the tournament. This will be my first year to do the pick'em games during the tournament. Can't wait. Already got one made up for Texas and Colgate. You can go to @CHastings1049 to see what I went with. Sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. It's Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
It's got a heavy 80s feel to it. Going to the 80s here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Probably. Should I know this?
Absolutely.
Individual?
Yes.
Huh. It's not Whitney.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's Whitney?
Yeah.
Wow, it's not a song I'm familiar with. What's the song called?
Love will save the day.
Okay. My bad, Whit. Sorry. Okay. Whitney Houston. Watched that documentary again recently. I can't not watch it. Every time it's on now, I have to watch it. I have to. Whitney Houston and Led Zeppelin getting us started. That is a music festival that we needed back in the day. So lots of stuff going on this Wednesday. News just flying around from the NFL. Aaron Rodgers telling the Pat McAfee show he intends to play with the Jets, and in true Aaron Rodgers super smug fashion, decided to rip Adam Schefter in the process.
Did he really?
Don't know why, but he said, hey, you ask Adam Schefter what I texted him when he somehow got my number. And then he said he didn't respond to Rossini either, and he said, I texted him, lose my number, nice try. I'll speak for myself and all this stuff. It's like, dude, what? Okay. Very Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you're literally saying this on a podcast, like big time podcast.
You're saying this on McAfee's show, and McAfee has a relationship with ESPN, and that's where Schefter works. Like, why do you just typical Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, he says he intends to play for the Jets, and then just to kind of wrap up the Brady Rodgers thing, because I think of those two guys similarly right now, all-time greats, end of the career, but the end of the career is still badass because they're incredible. So Brady obviously done. Baker Mayfield has been signed by Tampa.
That's the biggest story.
1-year deal from Brady to Baker. Theoretically. Well, I say theoretically. There's nobody else there. There's no way. Well, there should be no way Kyle Trask beats out Baker Mayfield for that job. That's Baker's job.
Yeah, it's Baker's.
1-year deal, so they're going to try it out, see how it works. Does the Baker, moxie, does the Baker in the locker room thing, does that work in Tampa after you just had Tom Brady there for a couple of years?
Bad move, Tampa. Bad move. You better sign him long term because he's going to get some serious money next year when the Buccaneers win the NFC South and push the Cowboys to the limit.
Wow, look at you. Look at that prediction already. You ready
Geno year. Geno year for Baker.
Ready to lay that out?
It's laid out.
Oh, my God. There's a lot. There's a lot going on in the NFL. It never ceases
laid
to
out
amaze.
like your outfit before the first day of school.
Never ceases to be entertaining. The NFL always produces.
What shirt you wearing right now? What's that shirt I see?
This is the Mike Evans shirt.
Oh,
today.
yeah. Mike Evans trying to go for another year. It looks like it's already in the bag.
I'm not trying to dog Baker or anybody else, but what is it like if you went from Jameis Winston throwing you passes in practice to Tom Brady throwing you passes in practice to anyone else throwing you passes in practice? What's that going to be like for Bucs receivers? That's got to be a weird moment. Because everything from Tom Brady, it's just got to be right on. Now, I know some people say last year things weren't always perfect, and you're right, they weren't. But still, that first time you run the out route that Brady's been throwing you for 2 years and anyone else tries to hit it, I bet it's different. I bet it feels very different. Well, we'll see. Baker Mayfield, at times, he's shown you the talent could be there. Could he keep Tampa Bay relevant in that division? Weird division, by the way. One of the weirdest in football.
It's bad.
It is so up for grabs every year. It always feels like that. Even when Brady was in Tampa, it felt like it was up for grabs. So now it's Derek Carr. It's whatever the Panthers are going to do with the young kid plus something to stopgap it. And then you've got Atlanta, who just got your guy Heineke.
Oh, man.
Who's probably going to take the job from
Desmond
Ritter.
Yeah, he has week 5.
Pretty quickly. We'll just go ahead and say, you know what, out of respect for your guy, I'm going to say Ritter is going to have to take that job from Heineke. How about that?
Yeah, $20 million for a backup?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let me get you a quick crap bag because I listened to the Chris Beard introductory presser in Oxford, and it had some funny moments. Here we go.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
One of these is just childish. The other one's mildly funny to me. So brought to you by AV Consultations. 255-8678, avconsultations.com. So Chris Beard gives his speech in Oxford in the basketball arena. And he said, in a year, he wants everybody to come back for the selection show, and they're going to find out where they're going to be in the tournament and all that. And obviously, that's a great first goal for him and everything. Well, first thing that amused me, Zay, was that he definitely had to look at his card that was in front of him when he said the name of the stadium, of the arena.
Oh, Chris.
He just, you could see him look down. And I thought, just like I got stuff written and you got stuff written every day where we're making sure we pronounce names right and stuff, he had to look down and was like, I'm so excited, we're going to pack and then he looks down, the PSD, whatever it is. It was so good. Oh, my God, it was so good. And then he had a little slip of the tongue, a little weird, not Freudian slip, just a weird slip of the tongue that I thought you would enjoy. He was talking about different coaches at Ole Miss. Oh, I'm glad to talk to this person, and shout out to this person. Now, I'd have started with the baseball coach because they just won a national championship. That'd be just me.
Yeah.
He started with Lane Kiffin because Lane will help out with recruiting and stuff like that. So he's going through the coaches, and he got to the women's basketball coach. My apologies, I don't know the name of the coach, but they're in the tournament apparently. He was trying to wish him well and be a good, partner and everything. He was trying to say that the coach of the women's basketball team was doing things the right way, but he went Elmer Fudd and he said that they were doing things the white way.
At Ole Miss?
Oh my God, it was great. It was just a great little moment.
Christopher.
From Chris Beard, and he kept going and he was fine, but that was that. So
I'd like to say he better than that, but I can't.
Yeah, and
I can't say it.
And he did deflect every question. They did ask questions about the situation in December and what happened and all that. And over again, he said that he and Randy have agreed to not talk about that night and not talk about their conversations since. But he has said that, there were no charges filed ultimately, and the statement from Randy, he's really leaning on that, and so is Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going with, we don't believe the initial report is what happened. We believe that this statement is what happened, and they're moving forward. No one asked the TMZ question of, are you still with this woman? But again, she has not been seen in Oxford. So it's only been him and his daughters in the pictures. The thought among some of the insiders, including one we had on the show, Chip Brown of Horns247.com, told us everything he has heard is that relationship has ceased to be.
Yeah, she can't be there.
Yeah.
And
so
for him to get this job, she can't be around.
Now, the other quick thing here in the crap bag, Zay, is the team you should not send to the Sweet 16 based on this BPI rankings that they've been talking about on SportsCenter and other places. Kansas State has a 37% chance to make the Sweet 16. And the group of teams that are 3 seeds that have had a less than 40% chance, according to BPI, like 7 out of the last 8 have lost, have not gotten there. So if you're filling out your bracket and you want a little bit of an insider, you want a nerdy little math thing, these numbers would tell you don't put K-State through 2 games. You can do 1, but don't have them go to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier this year when we were talking about them in net rankings and KenPom and how they were further down the list and why that was odd. And just watching them play, yeah, Keontae Johnson's really good. First team All Big 12. Marquise Noel, also first team All Big 12 at 5'8". Just amazing what he's been able to do. But I like Tomlin. After that, for Jerome Tang, they're a weird team that they just do some very undisciplined things. Like when they played against TCU, they had almost 20-something turnovers. And I think they put the ball in Marquise Noel's hands a little bit too much, which he likes it. He's averaged 10 assists in a lot of games this year. But for somebody that's 5'7", that's a lot. That's a lot. And looking at that Kentucky Providence game, I can see whoever wins that one upsetting Kansas State. So I get that stat.
Got that stat?
Yeah,
all
I get
right.
it. That makes sense.
Just something to keep in mind. All right, coming up, Justin Wells of Inside Texas. Does he have the Longhorns going to Houston and the Final Four? We're going to find out on the Horn. Yes, indeed. Let's go hour number 2 on this Wednesday. Almost ready for a tournament. Get those brackets filled out. HornFM.com. You can get it on our bracket contest. Coming up at 1:30 in the Flex segment, a new local star to put on your list, plus Ron Holland getting some huge love. We will let you know about that. Right now, though, we got to get some more Longhorn stuff to you. One of our favorite interviews of the week is right now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. By the way, I'm Chad Hastings. Isaiah Collier is here. And every Wednesday about this time, he is here too. He's Justin Wells of Inside Texas on 3.com. You can get him at Justin Wells 2424 on Twitter. Justin, what's going on, brother?
Hey, brother, just another day in paradise. What are you guys up to?
Oh, man, we're just trying to keep all the plates spinning and seeing if we can get them not to break. There's a lot going on, basketball, football, and all kinds of stuff. We'll get your thoughts on as much as we can. Let's start with this basketball team. What'd you think of the 2 seed there in the Midwest, the matchup with Colgate, and that possible matchup with the Aggies in Game 2?
Yeah, whoever the entire time. First of all, Texas A&M is much better than a 7 seed. That was pretty disrespectful to the Aggies in College Station. But I think it was strategic because you can't tell me people don't want Texas and Texas A&M in round 2. That's just the way that thing was arranged. First of all, these guys got to get past Colgate, and then Texas A&M's got to get past Penn State. I like this bracket, because I think Colgate's the best 3-point shooting team in the country. That'll be a good test. A&M or Penn State will be next. Penn State plays really hard. A&M has played really well over the last 2 or 3 months. I think they were 15-3 in SEC play. And then you look at Houston and Xavier down the line. Like you're going to have to beat a very good Sean Miller team in Xavier. And then Houston, obviously the number 1 seed, Kelvin Sampson. They're doing a lot of good things. I can't wait to see the health of Sasser. I think that's going to be a big factor in how far the Houston Cougars go. But in my bracket, I've actually got Texas and Houston vying for the Final Four, and I've actually picked the Cougars to make it to the Final Four. And so that side of the bracket is absolutely wild, guys. And that's what makes March Madness and the Big Dance so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Wells, going back to the Big 12 tournament and Texas without Timmy Allen doing what they did to Kansas. I know they didn't have McCullough or Bill Self, but still, Horns didn't have Timmy Allen, like I just said. And seeing that 2-man game with Dylan DeSue and Marcus Carr, just kind of how the offense flowed, the Serge Jabari Rice back cuts. You and I have been talking about Arterio Morris and his development, and he really came into his own. How do you feel Coach Terry and this coaching staff should go about putting Timmy Allen back in the starting lineup, or if they should put him back in the starting lineup at all?
No, I think you put Timmy Allen back in the starting lineup because I think Texas is maximized when Timmy Allen is getting his buckets and his opportunities and his minutes. But what you want to do is make sure Dylan DeSue keeps that sense of urgency, because I think that's what we've seen from him over the last few weeks. And it really started before the Big 12 tournament. You got to keep DeSue in that urgency stage. And right now, these guys are, I think they played up because they knew Timmy was out. And that's one of the leaders of the team. And so they were motivated. And the only thing you want to do if you're Coach Terry is you want to carry that over. And that's, the funniest thing about when we used to always fill out brackets is when teams were hot coming off their tournaments, and you just assumed, okay, those guys are peaking right now. They just won their conference tournament. They look great. That's the team you got to pick. More often than not, it goes the other way. It's actually that they wind up getting burned out. They wind up exhausting so much emotionally that they hit a wall in the first or second round once the big dance really comes around. Texas, that's something they've got to avoid. That emotional toll. Now, with so many experienced veterans, you're not going to have as strong an element of that. And that's the beauty of those guys. But with Timmy Allen coming back, you don't just ease him back so much. He starts. He goes back to where he was. You became a number 2 seed because of Timmy Allen's play, in part. And so you bring him back in the mix like he was before. You just got to make sure Dylan DeSue maintains that sense of urgency. And listen, like you said, these freshmen are playing well. Arterio Morris, we're seeing the athleticism that I watched in AAU ball 2 and 3 years ago. We're seeing that hyperness that he has. And here's the thing: he can handle the ball. He can create his own shot. and he's starting to come into his own. And then you got Dylan Mitchell, who is, if Brock Cunningham is the glue guy, then Dylan Mitchell's the tape, because this is a guy that really finds a niche. He found an identity, and that's to catch those loose rebounds, catch loose balls around the bucket, play good defense, and then about once every 10 minutes do a highlight dunk to really get the crowd going. And so these guys have kind of found their role. Ultimately, it's going to come down to Marcus Carr and Tyrese Hunter. The NCAA tournament is a guard tournament. It's going to come down to those two guys. Both of those guys are playing really well at this stage. And for Texas to advance, those guys have to continue that play. But ultimately, you get Timmy Allen back into it like he never left. You keep that fire under Dessou. I think Dessou's reaching another level of confidence right now and comfortability. You make sure you maximize that. Hey, that's a deep bench, guys. And if you want to make a run, if you got to win the next 6 games over the next 3.5 weeks, buddy, you got to have some depth. And I think that's going to be the biggest key for this staff.
Talking with Justin Wells, you heard him say it, Texas and Houston in his bracket, trying to get out of the Midwest. Of course, that's 6:25 tomorrow for Texas and Colgate. We'll have it for you right here on the Horn. All right, Justin, we're 31 days away from the Texas spring game. Give the Longhorn fans that are listening, give Zay something you like, something you've heard. Could be a player, could be a situation, a practice, a moment. What have you heard that you like about this team 31 days from the spring game?
I like that Keandre Coburn and Moro Ojomo are going to be drafted in the NFL selection in about a month. And the defensive line might not skip a beat. And if I'm the rest of the Big 12, that's some scary stuff. I love what I'm hearing about T'Vondre Sweat. Like, that's a grown butt man doing stuff in practice right now. I'm trying to keep the FCC off you guys. I'm trying to not say any dirty words.
Yeah, thank you.
I can tell.
T'Vondre Sweat, he is at another level right now, guys. And so I just feel sorry for the interior offensive linemen that have to scrap with him for the next 3.5 weeks. That's a damn octagon-like battle. The D-line looks fantastic. In early spring, the D-line's always going to have a little bit more of an advantage over the offensive line. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. But the fact that Byron Murphy looks like a freaking animal, the fact that Alfred Collins is ready to make that jump, Vernon Broughton is there, and let's not forget Sadir Mitchell, who, the ginormous defensive lineman, early enrollee from 2023 class out of New Jersey. That's the biggest thing for me right now is losing Coburn and Ojomo. I was afraid stopping the run might be an issue, and it still could be down the line. This is the first week after spring. But right now, man, those guys look solid. And if you're going to win, you got to have great D-line play. And when you're going into the SEC in the next year, that D-line play is of the utmost importance. And so Texas may be missing a few guys on the offensive interior to injuries and things of that sort. But, man, if there's one thing that's really stood out, I mean, there's a handful, but really it's the D-line. They're losing 2 guys, 2 all-conference defensive players that are about to get drafted in April, and I don't think they're going to skip a beat. If anything, I don't know if they'll be better, but they'll be just as good. And at the end of the day, T'Vondre Sweat is turning into an animal.
Yeah, I love hearing that about T'Vondre Sweat, Jay Wells, because hear you say that when Ojomo and Keandre Coburn go to the league, they won't miss a beat. That's huge. But to piggyback off that a little bit, I know Horn fans are still wondering, what about Alfred Collins? Is he going to finally break through and be that big-time blue chipper that we knew coming in out of that Bastrop area? Like, is he finally going to give the Horns all that athleticism, all that size? Is that finally going to push through for Pete Kwiatkowski's defense?
Buddy, that's what I think everybody wants to know, that, including the defensive staff. Alfred's a great teammate, and he's a good player with a lot of potential. This is kind of almost like a contract year for him. This is almost a put up or shut up year for Alfred Collins. This is time for him to kind of take that next step. Do you realize how good this defensive front can be when all those other guys are coming back and Alfred Collins has a breakout season? He finds a role, he finds a niche. That's a guy that can do a lot of things. You just want to see it consistently. And Alfred's a hard worker, but I think it's at a stage now where he's got to push himself just a little further. He's pushed himself to good. He needs to push himself to great. He's got a great family. He's a wonderful young man, great for the program. But this is that time of the year, in the last few years, he's been given a mulligan because other guys have stepped up. So with him not playing, let's say at the top of his game, other guys have been able to fill in, and it hasn't been that missed. Now they need that. They need Alfred Collins to step in and kind of pick that up. It's going to be this is his year, guys. It's a put up or shut up type of year, and I think Alfred Collins is ready for it. I think he has an NFL future, but if that's going to be seen, 2023 has to be outstanding for that guy.
All right, Justin, one more from me, and I got to throw a Cowboys question in here. Coach McCarthy said he wanted to focus. Yeah. Coach McCarthy said he wanted to focus more on defense. Donovan Wilson has been re-signed. LVE re-signed on a 2-year deal, and Stephon Gilmore's going to be a Cowboy. Thoughts?
I would love Stephon Gilmore 4 years ago.
Oh, I know.
And that's, I mean. Listen, guys, this is what the league has turned into. You play out that your contract. He had great years in New England, and then you try to stick in the league as much as you can for the last 3 or 4 years of your career. I think that's where we're at with Gilmore. But here's the thing. They don't need a lockdown corner on one end of the field. They've got Trayvon Diggs on one side. They need a guy that's going to keep their men in front of them and know their assignments and stay healthy. Number one is staying healthy. So they're going to throw a lot. I think they're going to throw numbers at the cornerback position because of last year. Remember what was the last 6 games? They had different starters in each game virtually. You can't get back to that scenario. So you sign some veterans, you draft at least 2 or 3, grab another in the undrafted free agent pool, and you try to beef up that secondary. I like Donovan Wilson. That kid, he's the safety Dallas needed for the last 4 or 5 years. He's really, I think, coming to his own. Leighton Vander Esch had a great year last year. I still feel like that can be upgraded, but he's still a great player, and he still understands his role. I'd like to put another linebacker on the other side of him so Micah Parsons can do a little bit more one-on-one on the edge, and they may hit that in the draft. But, hey, McCarthy wanted to help the defense, and I think he's doing that. And, listen, Dan Quinn has been so good in his time in Dallas. I feel like each year that defense is a little better each time, especially at getting to the quarterback and creating turnovers. So any moves they make on that side of the ball, I call a net plus because I know they're going to help themselves in the draft, and I know on the offensive side things will pick up. Potentially looks like they could potentially be letting Zeke Elliott go. That means they're going full board with Tony Pollard. I love that move. Moves. I hate if Zeke has to go, but that's the part of the league. That's part of the NFL these days. But that also leads to, will they draft a running back? And if one running back happens to fall in the first round, or they fall in love with a certain running back and they have to trade up, then this conversation turns real quick fast. Mm-hmm. And so I really like what Dallas is doing. Last year I felt like they didn't do enough. This year I felt like there's some initiative to it, and there needs to be. Because the Eagles are a starting running back away from being the best team in the NFC, if they're not already. And Dallas has to counter that some way. The best way to do that is to continue to stack that defense and get ready to play Jalen Hurts twice a year and be able to cover those receivers that are so talented, your A.J. Brown, your Devontae Smith. That's how you're going to build this roster over the next 3 or 4 years. It's going to be comparative to the Philadelphia Eagles because that's going to be your top competition. I think Dallas sees that, and they know that. I like these pickups. It's not spending a lot of money, but getting some veteran guys that, if they're healthy, this team will be.
Happen today. So the next time we talk to Justin Wells, Ezekiel Elliott, probably not a Dallas Cowboy anymore. That is Justin Wells, Inside Texas, on3.com, at Justin Wells 2424 on Twitter. Justin, I hope your bracket's looking good once the tournament gets started. We'll hit you next week, man.
Nothing but love, guys.
Thanks, Jay
Good
Wells.
stuff there. And he's got that all-Texas battle. Boy, that'll be something. We've talked a lot, Zay, about Texas and Texas A&M with a chance to go to the Sweet 16. That will be special in a lot of ways if it happens. But if it ends up being like a Texas and a Houston for a trip to Houston and the Final Four,
crazy.
Holy hell. What kind of energy will there be in Kansas City for that game?
And if Texas makes it past the second round, You just got done winning the Big 12 championship in Kansas City. So you like that arena. You like those goals.
That's true.
That should play in Texas' favor.
Yeah, it's a good point. Go right back to the friendly confines. You know how to set up hotels. You know how to set up all the pacing of it. They're used to. They go there every year, whereas Houston does not.
They don't.
So Texas would have a little advantage there on the planning side. But we're a long way from that. Texas and Colgate tomorrow at 6:25. Remember, our extended pregame is at 5:30. Up next, it's your Flex 30 segment. Oh, the Flex crew has let us know about another one of those names. This is a guy who'll be a junior this year, but he's one of those fast risers. In fact, he's rising so fast that the ranking services have said that now he's a 4-star, and he's right here in the area. We'll tell you who he is. Plus, you probably know the name Ron Holland. Mr. Holland just got a big award. Zay will tell you about that coming up on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Now, other than the speed limit itself, I think this song holds up pretty well. Sammy Hagar, I Can't Drive 55.
Yeah,
Other than the number, I still dig this song. What about you?
it's a jam.
It still holds up.
Yeah.
Good riff. Sammy's voice is awesome. This song was such a monster. This thing wouldn't go away for, it felt like 5 straight years.
Oh, I get it.
And
I get it.
It'll still come back. It'll still come back. I hope this is one. I guess Sammy's still out there performing here and there. I'm assuming when he gets on stage, he has to play this song. I hope he still enjoys it. Sammy Hagar, Whitney Houston, and Led Zeppelin on the show so far today. Thanks to Justin Wells for his time, giving us some thoughts on the bracket. He likes Texas and Houston getting through to that Midwest regional final in Kansas City. We talked with Scott Spinelli earlier in the show, former BC interim coach and host of The Breakdown on the Believe Network. He really digs Duke to get all the way to the Final Four. He's not the only one. Jay Billis has Duke in the championship game against UConn.
Homer.
Which would be another high seed. That'd be a 5 against a 4. Dick Vitale says Texas is getting to the championship game. Do you know who he's got him playing? I haven't heard that part.
I want to say it's Bama.
Oh, really? He likes Texas Bama?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. A little revisit of that, and a preview of an SEC matchup to come in a couple years. So, give us your thoughts on your brackets or anything else. Cowboys fans, do you like the Stephon Gilmore move? Do you like LVE coming back to Dallas? 337-3776. Real quick, bravo to a texter. This text says it looks like Chris Beard will need a new miss since his old miss is no more.
Ah, clever.
Well done.
Clever, yeah.
That is well done. Also, speaking of well done, I don't know how it happened. I don't know what the particulars are, but one of our guys, I don't know if it's a guy or not. It's a person that is listed as Legalize It on our text line. So Legalize It, thank you for keeping us updated. They were watching live, Zay, and they said that the person in question on the bridge did not jump.
All right.
And they are safe.
Nice.
Beautiful.
That deserves
Beautiful.
an ovation.
Got the negotiator out there or whatever it is. Somebody either talked them down or they talked themselves down. That is great to hear. That's great to hear, man. That's such a tense situation. I have no idea how some of those people do what they do to get out there and try to counsel someone off that situation.
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh, my
Hope
Lord.
they get paid well.
Yeah, I would assume that they do. That is hazard pay right there. But glad to hear that person is okay. Also glad to hear that Ja Morant feels like he's okay enough to come out of that counseling center in Florida.
Yeah, according to Wojbomb, he said that Ja Morant is out of the counseling program and he's meeting with Commissioner Adam Silver today in New York to discuss what's next.
I have one question to start with. Is Dad coming?
Ooh.
Will Dad be there with him? If the answer is yes, I think it heads one direction. If the answer is no, I think you got a shot.
You know, for someone who is very close to his father, this might be a moment where Ja Morant might have to separate himself a little bit from Pops.
Yeah.
I know he means a lot. He's a huge reason why you got there. Making the basketball court in the backyard and all the drills y'all went through. Now, Ja Morant has unbelievable God-given athleticism, but they did work hard to get to where Ja Morant is now, and I know Ja Morant wants to reward his dad. However, his dad wants to be rewarded, but his dad is also a problem. Like, he wants to be seen. He loves the limelight.
Yep.
Like, you could tell how someone carries himself when they wear sunglasses inside. Like, that's a celebrity thing.
Right.
Like, that's like, oh, this guy's big time. When you see somebody wearing sunglasses indoors, you always assume, oh, this dude's big time.
Yeah.
This dude's has some serious money.
Right.
Or this dude's extremely hungover.
I was going to say, or high.
Yeah, or very stoned.
Doesn't want me to see the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, get some drops for that. You go.
Yeah,
But
no,
still,
but that's one of the reasons, though. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, He loves it. He loves it.
Let's hope that the conversation goes well between Morant and Adam Silver. Maybe Ja Morant just needed a little change of perspective and get some counseling going, maybe get some, maybe regular therapy going in his life or whatever. But will he be back on the floor? Could change a lot of things in the Western Conference if that dude is back on the floor, because Memphis is the 2 seed?
2 seed, yeah.
In the West? So this really does affect the playoffs, and you just hope he's ready to go first and foremost and gets it all figured out. But at least he feels good enough about it to talk to the commissioner. So that hopefully is good news.
Chad, I heard this crazy fool Patrick Beverly who went old man on him. They asked Pat Bev, what do you think about the Ja Morant situation? He said, I think it's the music. I think it's the music these kids are listening to nowadays. I'm like,
what?
Bro, what are you talking about?
What is he talking about? I'm 4 albums into the solo stuff from Wu-Tang. I was listening to Ghostface Killah's Iron Man album the other day. I haven't gone off the rails yet. I haven't flipped out yet.
Oh, Pat Bev, come on, bro.
Is that what he's blaming? He's not blaming hip-hop, is he?
Yeah.
I'm assuming Ja Morant might be listening to some hip-hop. Maybe not. Maybe Ja Morant's really into boy bands.
Now, Pat
Ja Morant may be listening to NSYNC. I don't know.
Ain't nothing like no bye, bye, bye.
That's right.
Ain't no lie, baby, bye, bye, bye. That's a bop.
Yeah.
That's a bop. You don't got to be a gangster to say that's a bop.
What is Pat Beverly talking about?
I don't know. I know he's in his 30s and stuff, but you're too young to be blaming music for these dudes wilding out in these streets.
Heck yes, he is.
And
we should have stopped doing that years ago.
Yeah, and that's disrespectful to the rap community and hip hop.
Sure.
They're just making great music. You do what you want with it.
Right. Yeah, that's silly.
You can't say that's an influence. Like, yeah, these guys are influenced by some things, but the bad stuff, no, that's a choice. You're choosing to wild out Ja Morant, not because you're listening to this Moneybagg Yo.
I would love to know, how does Patrick Beverly know how much music Ja Morant is listening to? How does he know his musical habits?
Know.
That is bizarre. Pat Beverly always has an opinion, though, so we expect that. All right, let's get you a quick flex segment here. We got a name for you to remember and a name you already know that got some bling, if you will. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to The Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right, shout out to the Flex crew. My man Zach Lucero let me know about this yesterday. There is a kid at Weiss that is a big-time receiver. You may already know his name. It is Adrian Wilson, and he made an incredible catch at a 7-on-7 event recently. Somebody got great video of it, and Flex retweeted it. You can check it out at FLXATX. I tweeted it at Zay. Zay, what'd you think of the catch from Adrian Wilson?
What a moss job. That's ridiculous.
How good was that? The ball is basically, if he doesn't do anything, the ball kind of goes straight over his head. He's got to turn, and it wasn't just the palm. He has to palm it and
cuff it.
And cuff the ball. And then if you look carefully, he's in the back left corner of the end zone. He not only gets 1 foot down, he gets both feet and one of his shins down in the end zone. That would have been legit in the NFL. It's an incredible catch. Adrian Wilson is a class of 25 guy, in case you don't know. So that means he will be a junior coming up this year. 588 yards as a sophomore. He's got all kinds of good stuff on his Twitter here. He is at Adrian Wilson, and the 8 replaces the O in Wilson, if you want to follow him on Twitter. 38-inch vertical. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's got 10'2" broad jump on here. That's a way to get me to be a fan, Adrian. Well done.
Yeah, he's a little athletic.
I do love a good broad jump number. 4.56 in the 40. And again, he is class of 25. So for all you fans of the Weiss Wolves, you already know Adrian Wilson. We're getting that name out there, and hopefully his story will continue to grow as he gets ready for his junior year. So thanks to the guys for letting us know about him. And I saw Wilson tweet at Rivals, thanks for the 4-star rating. So, Zay, it's not just a couple people around here and the Weiss crew that knows about him. Now, a couple of these recruiting services, specifically Rivals, now they've ticked it up to a 4-star ranking. Not everybody gets that. So congrats to Adrian.
Yeah, very talented. He has 2 more years to boost that rating up, which I think he can definitely do. You just put out the numbers that he has. His measurements are ridiculous. As a sophomore coming out of Pflugerville Weiss, I see UTSA has offered him, Colorado State, Texas Tech. So Texas State, they're going to keep ranking in, and they should. He's a hell of a player, and look for him to have a huge junior year.
Yep, we will keep our eyes on Adrian Wilson. And remember, FLXATX.com for all your flex stuff. If you want to check out those lists of the 25 6A and 26 6A all district teams in boys basketball, that's on the Flex page. If you go to our page at hornfm.com, you can hear us discussing those district lists earlier in Flex segments. One other thing we want to mention, Zay, Ron Holland is a name that Texas basketball fans know because he is, correct me if I'm wrong, he's a signee for next year? Or
Yes.
Yes.
Now, remember when we talked to Justin Wells, they could get out of that depending on what happens with the Coach Terry
That's
situation.
right, okay.
But yes, right now he's a signee.
And so he is, and he was the guy, was he McDonald's All-American?
Yes.
He was, okay. So a guy that Texas fans are hoping that are going to be coming to him and playing. We knew he was really, really good. Now he gets a big-time award.
That's right. He was Gatorade, basically Gatorade Player of the Year in Texas. So that's Mr. Basketball in Texas.
All
if you wanna go old
classifications,
school. All
everything.
classifications.
That's awesome.
It was probably between him and Trey Johnson, who just won the state tournament with Lake Highlands. Now, remember, Duncanville, they weren't able to play in the state playoffs due to their coach PV cheating, so they got disqualified. But man, Ron Holland, congratulations to him, the 6'8". People say he's a power forward. He's a small forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you kind of where. So 6'8", kind of a 3-4 type of guy.
Right. He's way more skill than Dylan Mitchell. Might not be as athletic as Dylan Mitchell, but he's really athletic. I think he could do a little bit of everything. A lot of people say he's a top 5 player in the nation. And if whatever happens with the Coach Terry situation, if you could get Ron Holland down here, that would be huge for, what you're trying to do with this new coaching staff. Hopefully it is Coach Terry. I'm still rooting for Rodney Terry to get that job, but still we know what has to happen. A lot, from what happens tomorrow and Saturday depend on that. But Ron Holland, along with A.J. Johnson, 2 really good freshmen coming to the 40 acres.
Congratulations to Ron for getting that big-time award. By the way, we didn't talk about it. I was watching a video the other day, though, of the celebration on the floor in Kansas City. They've got the trophy and everything. That RT chant that showed up organically, I love that stuff. You can feel how much they support him. I heard somebody the other day say they think the interim tag needs to stay on because it gives the players an edge. And I thought, that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, it pisses them off in a good way.
Yeah.
It makes them say, oh, we're going to show you. So I love that. I remember getting frustrated the day of the last Charlie Strong press conference when he said goodbye, and all these players showed up to support him. And I thought, now you're showing up? You guys are playing awful football. Really? And now you're showing up to say, this is our coach, and we're back. But these guys are playing really good basketball. It's getting better and better and better, and they're showing you how much they appreciate him. And then to get that chant, he's doing the interview on TV, and they're all coming up, pointing at him like, hey, RT, this is our guy. This is our guy. That's very, very cool. If they can get a little momentum, continue the momentum here, that feeling might be a feeling CDC can't ignore.
Absolutely. And he's letting them still be themselves. He's doing a really good job of, sprinkling in what Chris Beard has done and keeping that, but also his own coaching philosophy and style, which the guys already fell in love with him being an assistant. So he didn't have to do that much, but the love that they have for him, how much they want to play for him, how hard they play for him, them knowing that, he's still interim coach. We know going into these games, a lot of what we do depends on if he keeps this job or not.
Right. We are playing for him. Yeah.
And literally. We want to come back down here and we want to see him at the facilities. We want to come back and work out here in Austin. Austin's a beautiful place to live. We know a lot of guys who went to the University of Texas have built their families here. So they want to stick around and see Coach Terry at the facilities and still doing his thing because they love him, and him having TJ Ford having his back and Kevin Durant having his back. That's huge. And it's going to be hard for Chris Del Conte to ignore that.
Oh, I didn't realize Durant did as well.
Yeah.
Did he?
Mhm.
Oh, that's two of the biggest names you've had. Certainly the two biggest modern names that you've had with Texas basketball. That is big time. So we'll continue to watch that story.
Hell, Royal Ivy's doing it too, and people think Royal Ivy should have his job.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's it's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of momentum behind it, and things are looking really good for Rodney Terry. Now let's see if the team continues to play well. I've heard about coaches saying to players like, "You've got my life in your hands," or "You got my career in your hands," or whatever. I thought sometimes it doesn't make sense to do it that way, but these guys literally know it's true. And Rodney Terry didn't tell them that. The situation told him that. Deep down, they know, wow, how we play does determine whether he gets this job or not. So it's like they're trying to help him in his job interview, if you will. So it's a special thing right now. We'll see if the Longhorns can keep it going. We do the Flex segment every day at about 1:30. Zay's got Where We At in Society coming up, and then we'll get back to more Longhorn talk and some other things at 2:05 with Chip Brown of horns247.com. He had a Morning Brew article today at horns247.com that involved Dylan Dessou. We'll have him talk about Dylan, his effect on the team, and what he thinks this team is going to do in the tournament. That's all coming up on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Fantastic song on a Wednesday. The great Marvin Gaye. What's going on? I mean,
Come on, man.
just there's nothing else to say. Incredible. Marvin Gaye, Sammy Hagar, Whitney Houston, Led Zeppelin. Part of the show already today. Marvin Gaye. Maybe not. I mean, it's a weird conversation to have. Maybe not the most sad, awful, tragic death of a badass musician, but it's damn close. I can't think of many that are worse than this one. Just for that level of talent, where that was about to go, and that's how he died. Oh, terrible. But the music is timeless.
Oh, man.
Timeless. So good. The way he enters this song is incredible. The way they produced it, where you're like in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You get the
Like talking to people and stuff.
Yeah, sound of like the streets.
Yeah.
You can hear the cars and you can hear all of that. And then he just eases right in. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Shout out to the great Marvin Gaye. He's another one, man. He's another one of those, what would the 80s have been like if he gets to go through the whole decade? He died in 84, I think. The rest of the 80s are different if Marvin Gaye's alive.
Absolutely.
Very different. Very, very different. All right, so a lot of good stuff out there today. We're talking basketball, college, and pro. A little bit of pro with the Ja Morant story. Talking to Adam Silver, hopefully headed back towards playing, if that's what he wants to do and is able to do that and can deal with the rigors of an NBA season and all those things. On the college side, obviously, it's about brackets, filling out your bracket. Go to hornfm.com if you want to get in on our bracket contest. By 11 o'clock in the morning, you got to do it. I'm with you. I got to do it tonight as well. I always forget right to the last minute to fill out the bracket. So I've got to do that. I got to figure out who I've got going through to the Final Four and what upsets do I have, and am I going to pick Texas facing Texas A&M, and then if I do, who am I going to pick to win that game? And then am I going to pick Houston? All that stuff. Got to figure it out tonight. Zay, do you have a Final Four all picked out yet? Or are you still getting there?
Still getting there.
Okay, still getting there. I may just pick all the 14 seeds. All 14 seeds get to the Final Four.
They got a shot.
Random.
They got a shot.
Never know. We may do that. So go to hornfm.com for that. Also, go to hornfm.com. Get signed up for the Final Four tickets. Syntex Tickets is giving away a pair for the men's games, pair for the women's games, and you can register for those separately. Again, the same household can't win both prizes, but go to hornfm.com. The other thing I need to mention, it's really stupid that I have to say this. It's stupid NCAA garbage, but there will be no streaming on the men's games. No streaming the way you've been listening throughout the season on the men's game. So if you go to that same Longhorn player we have for you on all sports and you click on men's basketball, it's not going to be there. All right? It won't. You can call and gripe and scream. We understand. It's not us and it's not UT. It's the NCAA dictating that. What you'll need to do if you want to stream is go check out the Varsity app. The Varsity Sports app. It's the varsitynetwork.com/audio app link. We'll have that up for you on our website as well, hopefully by tomorrow to remind you. But the Varsity app is how you can stream the tournament games. All right, Chip Brown coming up at 2:05. Right now, it's Where We At in Society with Zay. Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, I see something came in on Twitter. Do I need to check my DMs here?
Yeah, check those DMs, Chad.
All right, here we go.
Former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen just flat out saying LeBron James does steroids.
What?
Yep.
Chael Sonnen is going after LeBron?
Chael's going after Bron.
Chael?
In a recent podcast, Chael was quoted saying they got some performance enhancers. Like if the world understood what LeBron did, like other basketball players will hear what LeBron does and go, yeah, that doesn't matter. If you knew what these performance enhancers did, then you would know why it does, all caps, matter. He also goes on to say, we have the same drug guy. I know exactly what he's doing.
Wait, what?
We have the same drug guy. They got the same plug, the same
Lord.
connect.
He's going straight up like Jose Canseco with the book or something like that. Like, no, I know. He's going like Bill Romanowski or something. Oh, no. I take a case of stuff, and I know exactly what he's taking. Whoa, Chael Sonnen. Oh, okay. Man, so I'm seeing some reactions already to like, wait a minute, doesn't LeBron need to respond to this? Doesn't he need to sue? Doesn't he, like, how, do you sue for, what is it, libel or slander? Libel is written and slander is spoken? Whichever one is spoken word. Like, do you go after Sonnen and sue him for this?
No. I mean, I'm sure LeBron has taken a drug test or two in the NBA. Like, this is the same NBA that drug tested Damian Lillard after he dropped 71 a couple of weeks ago. They've given LeBron the drug test.
And it's the league that's also relaxed itself a little bit on the marijuana side of things.
They don't care about weed no more.
Yeah.
They don't care about that no more.
They've calmed down about that. But I would assume that LeBron, unlike with Barry Bonds back in the day, there was never a positive test, but they also weren't testing. But with LeBron's going to have the paperwork to say, what are you talking, huh? No. See, that there's a part of me that would say LeBron James needs to do exactly the opposite of sue and comment and all that. With all due respect, because I'm a UFC fan, I dig fighting. Chael Sonnen is a relative nobody in sports compared to LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, you could walk. We could walk over to the grocery store here at HEB and start asking who Chael Sonnen is. How many out of 10 know who he is? Maybe 2?
At this HEB?
At this
I'll
HEB
say 1.
in Westlake.
Yeah, I'll say 1.
Maybe 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Who's Chael Sonnen? And you just stand back? I don't think they know. But so I'm interested to see where this story goes.
Yeah, you mentioned Barry Bonds, and what I think about with Barry, like you could see a time where Barry was slim.
Oh, sure.
And stealing bases, and he could really roam out there in the outfield and stuff. And then once Barry was on the juice, that's when his head became bigger. And
oh yeah, there's a lot of evidence.
You're
there.
like, damn, man, like it look like you ain't even try.
So
with Bron, he's always been big.
I was gonna say, for you as a basketball fan, has that ever crossed your mind?
No.
That LeBron might be on some weird steroid that's helping him play?
No. I mean, it is kind of nuts to be 270 at one point of his career and to be that athletic and to be that fast. It did go across my mind that, man, what if this fool was juicing? But it's like, nah, nobody in the league does that. That's football. That's baseball. That's, those tough physical sports. Right. You don't need that in hoops. But I know some people who hate LeBron, and it looks like Chael's one of them, that probably think those things.
Man. And apparently in this podcast, it's Chael, so he kind of went on multiple rounds. Apparently he went after John Jones a little bit and Floyd Mayweather a little bit, and I don't know if it was about drugs. It says somebody texted us, most athletes are doing some form of banned substance. I'm not sure if that's true. And
yeah.
The word most is interesting there. But, when you play up through an advanced age and you play past a certain point, people are going to start to ask questions. So we'll see if LeBron has anything if there is any response here. But up until now, I think the assumption has been he's one of those guys like a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or whoever you want to talk about that's just taking care. And a lot of these fighters that have done things into their late 30s and into their 40s, they're keeping themselves in good shape. And yeah, are they taking some stuff? They are, yes. But is it to the level that Chael's talking about? I'm not sure.
Yo, if I'm Chael's plug, I'm texting him saying, yo, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Because if LeBron is juicing, the pull LeBron has, hell, his kid's about to get drafted because of it. You could get me whacked.
Yeah.
If I'm supplying these drugs to this guy and you're out here just spilling all the tea. Just snitching.
If I was the guy, once I read that quote, we've got the same drug guy, I would just text Chael. Not anymore, you don't.
Right?
Bye-bye.
Yo, in the streets, that's how you get killed.
I'd send him the Aaron Rodgers from earlier today. Lose my number.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're done.
Chael obviously hasn't watched The Wire. That's how you get whacked, snitching like that. What's wrong with you?
Oh, my God.
I know he ain't say his name and stuff, but this LeBron James.
Stringer Bell, y'all.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, better be careful. You better be careful out in these streets.
He might go after somebody on a Sunday.
For real.
Break the code. Come on now. You remember that one?
Dude.
What a great show. What a great show. Is it wrong that I can't see Idris Elba and not think of Stringer Bell? That's all I think of when I see him.
No Luther? He's dropping some new Luther stuff right now.
It was too iconic for me. Like, it was such an iconic role, and it's the first major thing I ever saw Idris Elba do. He's always Stringer to me.
Yeah.
Forever. Just like Michael K. Williams is always Omar to me.
Yeah.
And he did some other great stuff. Chalky White was an awesome character. The whistling and my God.
So good.
That scar. I've never heard the story of how he got that scar, but it's incredible. It just adds to the whole character
Rest
of it.
in power.
Such a great yes, the late Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
Now. God, what a damn shame. All right, a lot of good stuff, as always, in Where We At in Society. Keep your eye on that story. Will LeBron respond to Chael Sonnen's drug accusation? There's a sentence I didn't think I would say today. 2 o'clock hour coming up. Chip Brown of horns247.com. We'll talk about that Morning Brew article regarding Dylan Dessou and his thoughts on the team as they get ready for Colgate. Don't move. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started with hour number 3 on this Wednesday. I think I've got this one. This would be Biggie, correct?
That's right.
Love it when you call me Big Papa?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
Big Papa. Well, yeah.
There you go.
You got it.
Oh, I should have just stopped talking. Yeah. I see that didn't impress you near as much as yesterday when I was able to identify KRS-One. That did happen.
Yeah.
That did happen.
That was good. This is a layup.
This is a layup. He's like, yeah, I threw you an easy one, and you hit it over the wall. Congrats, Biggin. Well done. All right, so the Biggie Beat getting us started this hour. Lots of stuff on the board today. Aaron Rodgers says he does intend to play for the Jets. Baker Mayfield is apparently going to be a Buccaneer on a 1-year deal. Cowboys will get Stephon Gilmore in a trade. They have to give up a 5th rounder the other way. LVE, Leighton Vander Esch, will be back as a Cowboy, and I think that covers all the big name stuff in the NFL today. And at some point today, it could be official that Ezekiel Elliott is done in Dallas, but certainly in the next couple days as business is officially started in the NFL. Business is about to start in the tournament tomorrow. Texas will start with Colgate. Let's get to that and some other stuff on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. It is our weekly conversation with Chip Brown of horns247.com. Check out the flagship podcast. Check out the Morning Brew article and everything they've got for you there at horns247.com. Chip, how are you?
What it do, fellas?
Oh,
Whoa,
man.
Chip.
Busy time of year. I just retweeted your tweet about the Morning Brew today, and I know you're getting into what Dylan Dessou is doing for this team right now, the improved play there. We've been talking about how the Bigs looked against Kansas. Give us a sense for you where this team is going into the Colgate matchup. Do you think we'll see more of that Dylan Dessou in Des Moines?
I'll tell you what, he's been, he was on fire during the Big 12 tournament, obviously getting named the most outstanding player, but he's been doing it really the last 5 games. His average went from, in mid-February from 6 points, 7 points, and 3.4 rebounds to now the last 5 games, averaging 14.5 points. 6.5 rebounds. He's shooting 67%. He's shooting 60% from 3, and 86% from the foul line. I mean, the guy's just surging with confidence. I told this story. He came in after the TCU win, and he picked up a bottle of Core Hydration that was sitting there for all the all the players coming into the post-game press conference. He took a swig of it and was like, wow, I really love Core Hydration. It keeps me hydrated. How about an NIL deal? And then he came in after the Kansas game, took another swig of Core Hydration. He's like, hey, I was serious about that, Core Hydration, if you're listening. So the guy's just surging with confidence. And what we saw is with Timmy Allen out, they ran screen and roll action with Carr and Dessou, and he just ate Kansas up. Now Kansas didn't have McCullough, who's easily their best low post defender, but Texas can't control that. All they can control is how they're going to exploit it, and they did. So the thing that you like about Texas, if you ask, where's their mindset going into the Colgate game, they really all finished on a high note in that Kansas game. Even Jabari Rice, who got thrown into the starting lineup without Timmy Allen and kind of struggled to get his flow the first 2 games against Oklahoma State and TCU. He certainly got his flow against Kansas. And Arterio Morris was sort of the unsung hero of that Big 12 tournament. He had 3 steal breakaways by himself, and 2 against TCU, 1 against Kansas, and he got limited minutes and made the most of them. Hit big shots, hit a 3 against Kansas when they were breaking that game open from a 2-point game into a 12-point game, and And they just, Timmy Allen said it in Kansas City. He said, we have a bond deeper than basketball with everything we've been through. So you get the sense they know they have to defend, and that's what's going to key the victory against Colgate. That's a team that if you let them get set up on offense, if they get into a rhythm, they're the best three-point shooting field goal percentage team in the nation. You can't let them get into rhythm. They're going to have to chase guys off the three-point line. They're going to have to pressure the ball, force turnovers, just make Colgate uncomfortable, which they can do. And, Tyrese Hunter also had an unbelievable game face guarding DeJuan Harris. Kansas was 21-0 in games where DeJuan Harris scored 6 points going into that Big 12 tournament final. And Tyrese Hunter and Arterio Morris sort of traded off face guarding Harris and kept him from getting to 6 points until it was an 18-point lead with 2 minutes left. So, this team knows it can defend. It knows now that it can play through the low post for offense. And, they should be just brimming with confidence going into that game Thursday night.
Chip, you have a lot of national media picking them to go to the Final Four and them being a number 2 seed. And I love that you just talked about Dylan Disu and the sports drinks and him showing his personality. And Sir'Jabari Rice, he has a certain swagger about him. Timmy Allen, we know how he likes to get in the guys' faces and stuff. They carry a certain cockiness and swagger that you have to make a deep run. And Coach Rodney Terry allows them to be themselves. And I think that's how he gets the most of them.
Yeah, I think Rodney Terry has just, he's just pushed all the right buttons this season with this team. You have to credit him. You don't peak like this, like what we saw in the Big 12 tournament, without the coaches having a great game plan, having the total confidence and trust of the players in that game plan. And Rodney gave them a link from a chain, each of them a link from a chain going into the Big 12 tournament, and said, guys, this needs to be, everyone needs to look at this and realize their commitment to each other. Don't be the weakest link in the chain, and our commitment to our defense. Because he said that's how we're going to win the Big 12 tournament, and he was right. And now I would imagine he's just, reinforcing that message, but he has let the guys, be themselves, and, they're playing hard for him. When he was up there cutting down the nets, even before that, even in the final seconds of the game, UT fans, the UT bench were chanting RT. Certainly when he got up to cut, his last strand of the net, they were chanting RT, and I think they really, really appreciate the way he's gone about his business and this whole coaching staff. So they're a fascinating story. I compare them a little bit. We'll see. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but, Michigan in 1989, they fired their coach, Bill Frieder. Steve Fisher stepped in as, the interim, assistant coach taking over, and Michigan went on to win the national championship that year. And, sometimes you get players to come together when they feel like they're being doubted, or they feel like, let's prove everybody wrong, and some magic can happen. So we'll see. I mean, they got a tricky first weekend, because you get by Colgate, you get two of the hottest teams in college basketball with A&M, who's a lot like TCU. They're long, they're physical, they attack the basket relentlessly, get fouled, go to the free throw line more than any other team. Or Penn State, which can also spread the floor, shoot the three, and has, one of the toughest matchups in the tournament in Jalen Pickett, who, gets you 18 points a game, 7 assists a game, and 7 rebounds a game. And, those teams just made it to the finals of their conference tournament. A&M finished second in the regular season in the SEC. I don't know how they're a 7th seed, but it's a tricky, challenging first weekend for sure.
Yep. Hey, Chip, you talk about that Michigan team and, Horn fans, I don't know if y'all are superstitious or not, but both of those teams had a player with the last name Rice on it.
Aha.
And they were both pretty good.
Both teams powered by
That's
Rice.
That's right.
The
So
energy of Rice.
look at that. That Michigan
Yeah.
team won a natty with that Rice guy lighting it up.
Come on. Yeah, Glenn Rice, I think in that tournament set the scoring record.
Yeah.
I think it's been broken since, but yeah, that team could not miss offensively, and Texas is just playing with so much confidence that you wonder if they can get into a groove. Once you get past that first weekend, and then if Texas gets to the Sweet 16, if the seedings play out, they would play Xavier, who has like 4 players averaging 14 points, and they have a 7-footer. And you're like, God, how can they do that? But it's and then Houston.
Right.
If Marcus Sasser is able to play, I think Houston's the best team in this tournament. Certainly the best defensive team. You talk about a team that just pressures you and hits the offensive glass. But if Marcus Sasser isn't right physically, then that door opens. So we'll see. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man.
Chip, one more from me, and it's about the other side of the bracket. How seriously are you taking Bama? They are the overall number 1 seed here. They've got West Virginia and Baylor from the Big 12 in their region. What do you make? I mean, obviously all that they're dealing with off the floor and everything, but boy, are they playing well right now. How seriously are you taking Bama in terms of how far can they go? Do you think they can get to? Do you think they're getting to Houston? I should say.
I do. I think they're getting to Houston. I just think they play with so much confidence. Talk about swagger. There's a couple of potential hiccups in there with San Diego State and Virginia, but I think they get to Houston. I do like Arizona a lot, which is where Courtney Ramey ended up, of all places. But they looked they're just big, man, and they can score. I don't know if their defense is good enough. I think Baylor's limping into the tournament. West Virginia barely got into the tournament, but I think Alabama looks good. I see Alabama, Arizona playing it out for that berth in the Final Four in the South.
Chip, let's talk about winter workouts a little bit. I just saw the Fresh on the 40 series that the Horns are doing with the incoming freshmen. You see Arch and Anthony Hill and CJ Baxter talking on there about their experiences so far with the Horns. What are you hearing down there? What's going on with those, freshmen? How are they looking? How are those older guys? How are they meshing together? And what's Steve Sarkisian trying to do with these guys before the spring game?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve Sarkisian sure likes what he's seen so far. And, he's talking about we have a deep team. We're solid on the offensive and defensive line. We haven't heard that around Texas in 15 years. And then, when you talk about the freshmen that they added, I know they think Anthony Hill's going to be an impact guy. Maybe even a pass rusher on third down. The kid has sort of an instinct and a knack and a good bend coming off the edge, but, will ultimately probably be, he and Lianga Lafau both. I'm hearing great things about Lianga Lafau, who's also a true middle linebacker like Anthony Hill, but they're both talented enough that they are competing for that weak side linebacker position that was vacated by DeMarvion Overshown with Jalen Ford in the middle. But Jonte Cook, great stuff so far about Jonte Cook and his route running and his ability to get separation, and CJ Baxter, the running back, who's just super smart, just gets the concepts, gets what they're asking him to do, is understanding the offense, making the most of this spring opportunity with Jonathan Brooks out recovering from hernia surgery. But, I think it's a really good mix of veterans. I think they found gold in the portal again with Jalen Catalon and Gavin Holmes. I'm hearing, Gavin Holmes was probably the guy to beat at that field corner position opposite of Ryan Watts. And they're going to be careful with Jalen Catalon after the shoulder injuries he's had. They're not going to, burn him up in the spring. But everything, they're like guys already a leader in the safety room with Jaron Thompson. So it just sounds like things are moving in the right direction. And Quinn Ewers, I've heard nothing but good things about his progress, his taking the next step in this offense, and Malik Murphy should be back on the field ready to go when they come back from spring break so that, he can compete with Arch Manning right now to be the backup quarterback. And that's important. I mean, Malik Murphy needs to make the most of these reps because he's a big, strong, talented guy. And he's been injured quite a bit his first year plus at Texas.
Talking with Chip Brown, and again, 31 days till the Texas spring game. Circle it on your calendar if you haven't. April 15th at 1 o'clock is when we're going to get to see that spring game. Chip Brown, horns247.com. Check out the flagship podcast. Check out the Longhorn Blitz podcast. This week it's podcast only. We got baseball tonight, so go check out the podcast. Wherever you get those podcasts, they've got it for you. Also, as Chip mentioned, that Morning Brew article talking to Sue and the basketball team as they get ready for the tournament. Chip, we always appreciate it, man. Enjoy the start of the tournament, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, fellas. Take care.
Thanks, Chip.
Good stuff. With the next time we talk to Chip, will we be talking about a Sweet 16 matchup for Texas? We shall see. Also, if you're on Twitter, at ChipBrown247. Zay, both of our guests today referenced the line of scrimmage when we asked them about the Texas Longhorns. You starting to think as a Longhorn fan your team might be able to block and tackle in 2023?
Hey, with all the guys they got coming back
at a good level?
They better.
Yeah. It's a big indicator in a lot of ways. If Steve Sarkisian, and I admit I may have overcooked this thought before because I thought this was an interesting idea to bring him in. He had just been in Alabama. He has seen the top of the mountain of what it takes. If Steve Sarkisian is not just blowing smoke and he likes his offensive and defensive lines, that's a massive piece of news for you Longhorn fans. If he's right. Because what you need to feel at the end of this next season is not this weird trepidation of, oh my God, are we going to be able to block and tackle in the SEC? Because trust me, as somebody that roots for a team in the SEC, there's no conference that's ever been created that will point out if you can't block and tackle like that one.
For sure.
It will blink right away.
Yeah, and Sark, he puts a huge emphasis on big guys. So that could mean getting a 3-star that weighs 350 and dropping some of that baby fat down and developing that player. So when they get to their junior and senior year, they're ready to go and they still have that ton of mass that Sark needs in order to be successful in the SEC. But yeah, I'm not surprised Jay Wells or Chip broke down the line of scrimmage at all. That's what you got to do to beat these teams down. Yeah. And we know with no Bijan Robinson or Roschon Johnson, offensive line, they have to be better because the running back room ain't what it was last year.
Yeah. If you don't have a badass O-line and D-line, you got no shot.
Yeah. And those 5 offensive linemen that you got coming back from last year, yeah, they should be ready to go.
That's big time.
When September comes around.
Really glad to hear that Sweat is developing into that guy and is going to be that next defensive lineman. He's been fun to watch. And you brought up one of the guys that I love. I just hope it happens. Alfred Collins.
Oh, man.
Because let me tell you what, Big 95, he looks like somebody that could turn into one of those badass SEC-type defensive linemen where you just can't stop him. It's just got to happen.
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
You don't know, is it like his motor? Is it just like when he's on the field, he's not able to go all out because he's thinking too much? He's thinking about his assignments and all of that, all of those things. Like, I have no idea, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together like we thought he could have being the 5-star kid coming out of this area.
Yeah, this is the last year for Alfred, right?
Think so.
Last one, yeah. So he will not actually play in the SEC for Texas, but by the end of this year, does he at least give you that feeling of he could? That he could be that guy, because every time I see him, that's what I think of is, man, that dude could be such a badass if it could all come together. Lots of stuff coming together today on this Wednesday. Up next, March 15th, we'll tell you why it matters, including a musical birthday. I need to get Zay's thoughts on it. We've never talked about this particular musical act. They've got a birthday in the band today. I want to know what Zay thinks of them next on The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple Leasing. Love the car I've got from Apple Leasing. You will love the process. You'll love the car or truck or SUV you end up with because they can get you any make, any model, any car, any truck, whatever it is you're looking for. You just call them and tell them about it. Call 346-9977. Couldn't be more convenient. You sit there in your pajamas, favorite couch, favorite chair, and talk through it with them. What cars are you looking at? What trucks are you looking at? I like this one and I like this one. I got a Ford option and a Chevy option. I also kind of like this Honda. Well, okay, they can go to all three of those dealerships, but not just dealership, like individually, dealerships. They've got the contacts with all three. They're going to go get you the best options. They're going to find the best rebates. They're going to find the best deals for you that you can get. It's the easiest and safest way to get a new car. And with the leasing system, you will be paying for the part of the car that you're using. You're always going to feel like you're in that new car. You can depend on it, and you're going to be able to depend on your finances too and make sure those are all in line. They'll talk you through the whole process like they did for me. 346-9977. Tell Beth hi for me if you talk to her, or any of the other great people at Apple Leasing will be able to help you as well. 346-9977, or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right. Ever? Chad and Zay with you on a Wednesday.
You really came into this song with okay.
Ever? The exclamations reminded me of Lil Jon. I don't know if it's him, though.
Yeah, it's him.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Lil Jon, Lil Scrappy, the group Trillville. Legendary song. For March Madness, this makes you want to fight somebody.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I didn't know there's a Little Scrappy.
Oh, yeah, Scrappy?
Never heard of Little Scrappy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a decent rapper, Atlanta guy.
Is the song called You Can Never Get On My Level?
No, never ever.
Never ever.
Never ever. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, these guys were really angry when they went in the studio.
Yeah, which is good. That's what you need. That's what you need. I'm not saying there's not good, happy hip hop. Just like I would say there's not necessarily like bad, or I'm not gonna say there's bad, happy hip hop, like there's not bad, happy, heavy metal. You just gotta be careful.
Yeah, be careful, yeah.
Because anger helps.
Yeah, this is mosh pit rap.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. If Eminem had walked into the studio really happy that day, it would have been very different.
Yeah, get out, M.
What I Am would be a very different song. Just very, very different. That's a good track. All right, so Little Jon and that crew, Marvin Gaye, Sammy Hagar, Whitney Houston, Led Zeppelin have all been a part of the show today. Zay played a Biggie beat at the beginning of the hour that is so easy, I even knew what it was, and he gave me no credit for realizing it, which shows the level of music snobbery we keep around here. He just stared at me like, yeah, it is Biggie.
Yeah.
Smart ass.
Now, Diddy did get that song from the Isley Brothers originally.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's an Isley Brothers song.
Okay.
And he just mixed it a little bit and threw it to Biggie, and Biggie really made the classic.
Yeah, good sample, though.
Great
Good
sample.
sample. By the way, speaking of sampling and music, yesterday you played the Fugees' Killing Me Softly. I looked up the numbers on, so Roberta Flack came out like in the early 70s.
Okay.
73, something like that. From what I read yesterday on Wikipedia, so it's got to be true, the Roberta Flack version went number one in, it's like 3 countries, 5 countries, 6 countries, something like that. When the Fugees put it out, that one went number one in 20 countries.
Damn.
So I think in the end, the answer might be that the Fugees version was even bigger than Roberta Flack's. But both versions have been put on lists of like the greatest songs of all time. They're both given credit for pushing that song forward. Others have done it, but nobody's ever done it like those two. Like Roberta's version is legendary, and that's what the Fugees grabbed onto and then just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So
if Roberta had Wyclef in there going, one time,
That's right.
then she wouldn't have nothing to worry about. But Lauryn Hill had Wyclef.
That's right. That's right. She had the Wyclef, took it to the next level. All right, a lot of basketball obviously on the board. If you've got your bracket ready to go to hornfm.com. Get your bracket in to the contest by 11 o'clock tomorrow when games tip off. And remember, we're going to be out at the Round Rock Twin Peaks location. Afternoon show with Ball Don't Lie. They'll start at 3. Extended pregame at 5:30. Texas tips at 6:25. I'm going to get out to the Round Rock location to check out the Texas game. And yes, I'll be hanging out, rooting for that Texas A&M matchup by the end of the night. If you want to come out and watch the Aggies and Penn State. I mean, who roots for Penn State? Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Zay will tomorrow. You're going to have to root for Penn
It's going to be tough, but I will be.
Okay. You sure now?
Yes, very sure.
Now, if Texas wins the game convincingly, and then that game tips off, do you think there's a chance that just a little voice inside of you will say, you know what? I want those Aggies. Bring it on.
No.
No?
Because I don't want those Aggies. The Aggies are good. I don't want to see y'all.
They're a blood and guts kind of team.
They're a tough team.
The interesting part of that game is going to be what each team would want. I think Texas would want to establish a pretty basketball game. A&M needs it to be ugly.
Yeah.
A&M needs it to be a bar fight. A&M needs it to be 30 free throws on both sides. They don't want Texas to have 30, but you know what I'm saying. They need lots of free throws. That's how A&M makes their hay. It's like the James Harden in Houston, that stuff, where everything felt like he had to get to the line, and that's how A&M does. That's how A&M does it. If they can't get to the free throw line a lot, they're not the same.
I hate how much I love Wade Taylor. He is so tough.
Yep.
Like the shots that he makes, the crazy one-handed scoop shots and floaters and stuff. You could tell he's a Dallas brother.
He's a good
he
player.
Hoops like it.
Yep, good player. That's a tough team. We'll see if it is A&M taking on the Longhorns in that second game, or is it Penn State? And, of course, the Longhorns have to get by Colgate before you get there. Don't take anything for granted. Once you get into the games, you gotta survive that bracket. All right, let's go to Why Today Matters. It is March 15th. Here we go. All right, before we get to the other stuff, couple of sports headlines here. We just talked about Ja Morant. He gets his punishment, 8-game suspension without pay, and the league is calling it conduct detrimental to the NBA, irresponsible, reckless, potentially very dangerous, and they gave him extra consequences because he's a big deal. And there's a lot of kids that look up to him and all that kind of stuff. So 8 games without pay. Zay, they say he's eligible Monday against the Mavs because they'll give him games served, if you will. It'll be 6 games, including tonight. And then I guess between now and Monday, it gets him to 6. So Monday against Dallas, he could be back.
Yeah, maybe he's learned from the wilding out. We'll see. Yeah. I'm be interested. What is that Dallas game? Is it in Dallas or in Memphis?
That is a good question. It just says against Dallas.
Okay.
Same day he'll rejoin the Grizzlies in the team environment. I'm guessing it's a home game.
Okay. I want to see where T. Miranda is. Pops. Is he still on that sideline? What's he doing on that sideline? Is he taking attention away from his son? But for Ja Morant's sake, hopefully he got everything taken care of in his counseling. He is embarrassing. It's very embarrassing for him. I know he feels that, and maybe he uses it as fuel for himself moving forward this season. For everybody who said stuff about him, we just talked about Pat Beverly blaming him for music. I'd love to see that matchup. Hopefully the Bulls get to play the Grizzlies before the season's over with. But, yeah, the Grizzlies sitting on number 2 spot. I know Taylor Jenkins is happy about it, and they're still a team that could really make some noise and do some damage. I could see them winning the West for sure.
Yeah, let's hope Ja Morant's got everything straightened out there. Somebody that may not have things straightened out right now is Jalen Carter. This story coming out of Athens today. Georgia has their pro day. Check this headline out, or the first sentence out. Jalen Carter was 9 pounds heavier than at the combine.
Damn.
And couldn't finish his position drills at Georgia's pro day.
The combine was 2 weeks ago.
It says Carter didn't finish the position drills because he was cramping up and breathing heavily.
Uh-oh.
Remember, he didn't go through all the workouts at the combine. He just did remember, he shows up, he goes and deals with the stuff in Athens. He came in, did interviews, and measured, and that was it. So this was supposed to be the show-off day. Mike Tomlin's there. Coach of the Falcons, Smith is there. Eberflus of the Bears is there. Kirby Smart spending time with these coaches, and Jalen Carter can't finish the drills.
Yo, I understand stress eating. I've put on a few LBs during COVID myself, but you're an athlete, dog, that was potentially a number 1 pick, and now you have to, hey, coach, I gotta stop. I gotta relax in front of 3 head coaches.
That's rough.
Huffing and puffing. That ain't a good look.
No, that is bad. We'll see how that starts to affect mock drafts. We are still a good 43 days away from the draft. There's a lot of time for things to change and shake up. And, wow, if you are the agent for Will Anderson, things just changed again.
Yeah.
That is big-time news for the Alabama stud linebacker, Will Anderson.
Yo, come on, Jalen Carter. In through your nose, out through your mouth, bro. Come on, bro. Put the donuts down, man.
I was going to say, it sounds like the in through the mouth problem. That's the problem. It's the donuts and other things maybe going into the mouth. That's the issue.
You should be in the best shape of your life this time of year.
Okay, so what would the joke be? The joke would be, apparently he didn't just like to race people in cars. He was racing to the drive-thru, something like that. Y'all work it out. Yeah,
Bama fans are working on
Work
stuff.
that out on your own, yeah. All right, a couple other quick things, Zay. The birthday I want to talk to you about is Will I Am. He is 48 years old today.
Man.
He is part of the Black Eyed Peas. We've never discussed the Black Eyed Peas. Give me your thoughts.
Black Eyed Peas. Let's look at it like this. 2011 Mavs team that won it all. Fergie's Dirk, and the rest of them are the rest. That's how I look at it.
Will.i.am is Jason Terry? So
No, not even. He'll be Jason Kidd.
No, he's Kidd.
He'll be
okay.
Jason Kidd. You know, he will distribute the ball, but he's washed.
That makes that
And-
other dude Tyson Chandler?
Yeah. Yeah, they could be the other guys. I know they're successful. I know they do well. But if Fergie wasn't a part of that crew with them lady lumps, then what would they be, Chad?
Interesting.
Maybe just the P.
It's a weird group because there's a lot of catchy stuff there, but it kind of goes back. It sort of fits between the cracks of certain styles because I still don't know what they are exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Pop?
You
know.
I just don't know. That may the best line that they ever had on The Office, past Michael Scott, was when they gave James Spader that line about Black Eyed Peas, where he said they're a rock band for people who don't like rock, a rap band for people who don't like rap, and a pop band for people who don't like pop, or
That's
something
good,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that's a great way to describe it because they're not exactly any of those things.
Yo, Fergie, she did her solo thing. Fergalicious is still a classic.
Hey, yeah, she found her spot.
Yeah. They couldn't be anything without Fergie Ferg.
Interesting. Okay, there you go. I'm glad I asked. Will.i.am, 48 years old, and from this old man, go ahead and capitalize some letters if you want. Like, come on. All lowercase letters and the dots in between. Come on, man. What are we doing? We got,
That is weird.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that on song titles, artist names, the spacing. Oh, man, the spacing. Did you see that? I put all the letters together. Yeah, I got it. Can I move on? Can we get on to track 4? Really? What are we doing? Come on, Will. All right. Happy birthday to Will.i.am today. Also, happy birthday to a Corpus Christi girl named Eva Longoria. She is 48 years old today as well. So Will.i.am and Eva Longoria are exactly the same age if y'all need either one of them. Same age. Exactly.
Yeah, Tony Parker might not get in the Hall of Fame for fumbling that bag.
That's a terrible. That's the worst turnover ever.
That's man,
Horrible
what?
turnover. Horrible.
Like, you got prime Eva, Desperate Housewives, doing it big.
You messed that up?
You messed that
That's
up. You
awful.
play for the Spurs. Like, she's home. This is her dream. She's home.
Yes. Right.
She loves you. You're exotic.
She's black.
You have that accent.
She's black and silver to the core her whole life, and he messed it up.
He messed it all up.
This is terrible. That's so
For
terrible.
who?
That's
Britt
terrible.
Barry's ex-wife?
Right. Teammate's wife at the time. I understand there's that old theory about no matter how hot she is and whoever she is or he is, somebody's tired of dealing with. I get that theory. But Eva Longoria?
It's tough. It's tough to get that.
Eva might.
It's
oh,
tough.
Man, I think I could deal with a lot.
Yeah. Tony,
Come
come on.
Let's go, Tone.
Like, if I'm Greg Popovich, like, we're having some serious conversations. Like, that's like David Stern, John Morant stuff. Like, you counseling. You might need counseling.
Conduct detrimental to the Spurs.
To the Spurs, to the league. Like, what are you doing, Tony?
Come on, man. All right, happy birthday to those folks. Stems and Seeds coming right up. It's been a wild, crazy day. We'll catch you up next on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I'm particularly proud of myself today because if I hadn't mentioned Will.i.am's birthday, Zay might not have played Fergie. But now we get to hear some Fergie. Fergie-licious. Fergalicious. Sorry. By Fergie. I love Fergie. Fergie and I have had a long-term relationship, Zay. I'm basically the same age as she is, so I saw her on Kids Incorporated when she was, I don't know, 10.
Really?
Whatever it was, I don't know what she was, 10, 12. She and I are right at the same age. Little blonde girl on Kids Incorporated. They gave her, solos back then. You could tell she had a voice. And then years and years later, I'm like, wait a minute. Is that? Hold on. Yeah, she's something. I was never a big Black Eyed Peas fan. I have always been a big Fergie fan.
Oh, yeah. There's a difference.
There is a difference. I've always been a big Fergie fan. Very catchy.
Yeah, I'm that guy at the Black Eyed Peas concert that says, when the Fergie stuff coming on? Play Fergie's album.
Play the solo stuff. Lady Lumps.
Does that happen? Like if you go to a Kiss concert, do they get into their individual stuff even though
not now, no.
Not now. What do you mean not now?
No. I don't know.
But one of them had a decent solo album or a decent solo song on the album.
If you go to a Kiss show on this farewell, if you go to the farewell show on October 29th at the Moody Center, if you hear one track from any of those 4 albums, something's gone really wrong. I mean, seriously, not one. I mean, not one.
But if you go to a Wu-Tang concert, they're going to break out the Only Built for Cuban Links and some of GZA's stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they'll go into the individual catalog.
Right, but now I've listened to enough to know why, because those records are good. Even us Kiss fans will tell you those solo records aren't great. Come on. No, you can't do it. I'm sorry.
Oh.
You can't. You could. No.
I know diehards dig it.
No, the most you do is if Ace Frehley was still with the band, which he's not, you'd let him play like 12 seconds of one of those fractured guitar solos. And I think that's on his solo record.
Damn.
Other than that, not a chance. Not a chance. If Gene sings 2 words of Living in Sin, they should tackle him to the ground. Are you kidding me? Or what's that Paul song, Tonight You Belong to Me, or whatever that is? No.
That sounds fire.
No.
That's what people want to hear.
No. I know what you mean by fire, and that's not what it is. Not what it is. Even their egos might admit that's not their best stuff. All right. Here we go.
No seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Baseball tonight against North Dakota State at 6:30. So no flex, no Longhorn Blitz, no fight night, and no Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on air tonight. All podcast only, though. Go get them where you get your podcasts. Our podcast page has that flex, a flex edition they did last night, wrapping up the 2023 basketball season. So check that out. We mentioned Ja Morant gets his punishment. It is 8 games total without pay, and then he may be back next week. Jalen Carter adds weight but can't finish the drills at Georgia's Pro Day. And Cowboys fans, it's official. The Cowboys have released Ezekiel Elliott. The 21 era is over, Zay. I'm a little sad today, but I guess it needs to happen.
And at the 26th pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, Dallas Cowboys select out of the University of Texas, Bijan Robinson.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Once we get to 26, how will the draft roll out? What will it feel like at that point? And will that be the move the Cowboys need to make? Longhorn fans that are also Cowboys fans, how much would your heart break if he's staring at you at 26 and Jerry does something else? How heartbroken would you be?
Yo, Eagles need a corner now.
Yeah.
Darius Slay, cut his ass.
We hadn't mentioned that. They released Darius
Just
Slay.
cut his ass. 5-time Pro Bowl. Just went to the Super Bowl with him.
That dude's
gone.
I'm just going to predict by now. Forget about by tomorrow's show. He'll have a new team by tonight. If he's got a decent agent, he'll have a new team by 10 o'clock our time tonight.
Yeah.
That dude's way too good just to be floating out there.